Welcome.
Hello.
Oh,
We all live here?
Yes, we are. What? That was weird. That is the space-time continuum, man. What's going on?
Why are you so fucking loud, man?
I don't know. My microphone's quite low.
You know that.
I was like,
We're fine.
Why is your audio turned all the way up, Chris?
I've not got it all the way up. You changed my name to Simple Jack. See, honestly, you can't let this guy out anyway, ladies. Honestly, he changed that because. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined tonight by Iron City Paranormal. We have them back once again from their technical problems that they've had. Dan is actually in his what's that? Your sewing room there, Dan?
It is my grandmother's nursing home. Over there is where she knits her quilts over there. She's got a family tree she's working on right now. My wife is 36 going on 85.
That's pretty good, though. Oh God!
It's a good thing she doesn't watch any of this.
Oh, I know. It's a good thing that she doesn't support us in our endeavors.
Probably for the best.
That's the
truth. Yes, it is.
So, let me see. Who have we all got in the chat tonight before we start talking to these amazing guys? Who have we all got? They've got Dots MC. We've got Louise. We've got who have we all got there? We've got it's not working.
Lawrence.
Bloody chat.
Chat not working for you.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it does this, right? Oh, we've got Son of the Naked Bigfoot there. Good to see you, man, and be safe when you go to that island. Good to see you, bud.
Yeah.
What else we got? Well, we've got, where is it? Stephanie. It's good to see you, Stephanie. There you go. I think it's because I've got the two mouses hooked up. I've got the one on the laptop, and I've got another one.
Hey, I've tried to help you with your technical issues, but you never listen to a damn thing I gotta say.
I'm fine. You know. So, guys, it's hopefully one of your team members will be joining us shortly when she fixes her computer or whatever's going on today. You guys have always got technical problems, I've noticed.
So it's Derrick's fault.
It's always my fault.
Aye, Derrick, it's your fault.
It does always seem to be centered around Derrick.
It's Derrick's fault because we talked the last time we were on your show. His computer blew up when we started talking about the spirit.
That was 2 times ago. Okay, it hasn't happened since.
But then, like, we've had technical problems every time we've been on with you guys, and we don't have it with other people, so it's strange.
Very strange because there's an echo.
The Bald and Bonkers.
Is there an echo? Is there an echo coming through me?
Well, I can tell you where it could be coming out of, but
that's weird. It's weird. It's every time, Dan, it's your fault. I'm blaming you. It's no Derrick.
That's fine. I don't even.
It's that sewing room you're in. It's got the spirits in there. Yeah.
Yeah, the acoustics in Grandma's room are not very good.
Yes. I must admit, I'm into a wee bit of the sewing myself. You know. But anyway, guys, what have you been doing since we last seen you? What have you been up to?
A lot. Oh man, I don't even know when the last time we were on, what investigation we were on. But we've started to host some more public events. Mars, PA. We hosted one around Halloween. It went really well. We opened up. You guys actually investigated helped us investigate the tattoo shop a while back, and so we started opening that up to the public with this event through the owner and everything over the township, and it was really cool. We had a really good turnout the entire event, and then for the investigation that we opened to people, it was fantastic. I think they all had a really good experience. Yeah, I mean, and it just draws more interest to the area, to the shop, you know, and it's really the interest there. But outside of that, we've started to do some private residences where we've investigated for people just experiencing strange things. And we've started to do some cleansings, which also have to this point gone well. We haven't had any negative feedback, let's say, except for the one.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood here, because
she broke her leg. It's not our fault.
yeah, we had a slight we had a slight concern after the last one, because we found out weeks later that the woman who's in her 80s fell and broke bones, and we thought that it was possibly because we pissed something off while we were there. But luckily it was not an unseen force that pushed her. She actually tripped over something, I believe. So hate to hear it happen, but you know, we were sweating it out for a hot minute while we waited for what was happening there.
I think when we first got the message, our hearts just dropped. Like, oh my God, are they going to blame us? Did we do this? Like,
just to say something really quickly, Son in the Naked Bigfoot, Pete, be safe on your travels tonight. Could you bring that up, Dakota? That he's got there. Be safe, bud. And
Yeah, safe travels.
Yeah, man. Especially knowing this stuff his dad gets to get into, man.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to some of the evidence that you've sent over. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing some of that. Because the last time you were on, you showed us some absolutely amazing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if we can top some of that old stuff, but we certainly can try.
See, that's the thing, too. You were saying about cleansings. How do you not know that they don't follow you home? So that's the thing. Because you're right with having problems, Derek.
Yeah, I have, and you know, there's also some stories I don't think you've heard about me receiving a package in the mail that we tried to backtrack and find out who it came from, and ultimately it came from, what was it, Dan? Someone that you worked with, like where he lived, right?
Well, yeah. So it's a really long
story,
confusing story for everybody. But yeah, what's that?
Do tell.
Oh, this is how he gets his jollies.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So Derek fields our emails, and we got an email on our Iron City account saying that this person had a doll that they were trying to get rid of because they were cleaning out their mother's house to send her to a nursing home, and the guy's brother took the doll that they found that was still in the package, took this doll home with him, and ever since he had taken it home, strange things were happening around his house. His wife was afraid. They were seeing people, like shadow figures in their house, like some really creepy stuff was going on. So
I'm trying to find a picture of it right now. I don't see it.
Yeah, I can find one, but the guy's wife wanted rid of it, so they sent it to this guy that was emailing us, who is the guy's brother. And then ever since he had received it, strange stuff was happening in his house. Again, like his wife and him were arguing more. There was some tension created. There was all of this stuff going on that had not been happening previously. So then he said he remembered us from an island investigation that we did years ago. There was like a public investigation that we were helping out with. And we told them, when this is not something that we post about online, we don't post that we have a Dybbuk box, but we tell people we have a Dybbuk box. So this guy had to have met us somewhere because he knew about this box. And he's like, I remember you from the island. You know, you had this haunted box. Thought maybe you guys would be interested. I'm trying to get rid of this doll. Do you guys want it? So Derek.
Well, I think that show is actually coming up too, right, Dan? Is that like the show that we were talking about? The Mars Spooktacular was coming up. I'm like, hey, we can, you know, toss something else on our table, another talking point, right?
Oh yeah, because here's two idiots now, right? That are like, yeah, send us the haunted thing. You know, it's causing all of these issues in your house. We're like, fuck yeah, send it. Excuse me. I'm like, like send it to me, So we were just like excited about it. Well, then Derrick sends me the emails that day, the first day that he contacted us, and the guy at the top, the guy that it was coming from, was the name of a guy that I work with. And it had his picture on it as well. Like Google has a little bubble and it shows their picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, his name's Pete, the guy that I work with. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I walked down 2 cubicles from me. I'm like, Pete, I'm like, if you have a haunted doll you want to send us, I'm like, save the postage and just give it to me. I'm like, why the hell are you emailing us? And he's like, what are you talking about? I showed him the message and he's like, dude, I'm not sending those. He's like, that's my picture, but that's not me. And I'm like, weird. And so then I messaged Derrick and I was like, Derrick, this dude got hacked or something. I'm like, don't expect this doll. Like, it's not going to happen.
Well, so before that, I sent an email back, right? Like after Dan told me it's not this guy, whoever, I tried to send an email back, like, thank you. Like, we really appreciate it. Where'd you find out about us? Just to see if I could get any more information. And when I sent that email, it actually kicked back with email does not exist or whatever. So they actually had deleted their email, I guess, or something. I don't know. The email never existed. I'm not sure. But
yeah, we weren't expecting the doll. And then the day later, Derrick messages me. He goes, guess what just showed up at my house? I'm like, no way. There's no way. Well, then he has his freaking Jester doll. It's this little, it's maybe like 9 or 10 inches tall. It's not a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's small too. It's like a almost
so
like
just said it wasn't big.
I'm trying to think of marionette things, whatever. Go to hell. It was small.
And why?
You two sound married.
Oh God!
I'm drinking water. Okay.
I'm trying to find a picture of it, but so we have this doll, and Derrick we haven't had anything. Derrick's, got it at his house. He hasn't had anything happen to it. He has a K2 meter parked outside of it, and he hasn't there's nothing weird going on with it. So we have no idea, but it's a cool story if nothing else.
Well, on top of that, whenever I received the package, the return address was cut out, so I couldn't even find out where it was coming from.
Huh.
The whole thing was bizarre.
It was just strange. Nothing's happened with it. I mean, I have it here, so
nothing that you know of.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Next thing you know,
see, that's actually quite interesting.
Doll just crawling behind him.
Let me know if you see that.
Solar climb up.
Derrick had a full set of hair before the Jester doll walked in.
Yeah, well, let's blame that.
Yeah, this shit does go.
Warning, hair loss.
Well, at least I know I'm in a safe place here.
Not when I'm here.
You're among other bald people. Obviously, Dan has got
Dan's the minority,
man. He's fine, but he's the one that's left out. I feel sorry for Dan.
They're
great. I'm fat and I have hair. That's awful.
What's that, Dakota?
Derrick just had something move past him. I'm not fucking. You literally just had something move past him behind him.
Let's see a replay. Can we take this back?
Derrick does not have any animals. No animals. He has 2 children, but they're in bed, right?
They're in the process of. I could actually hear them upstairs, running around before.
Seriously, anybody in the chat?
I'm looking at back the new. I am looking at it now. That's actually quite interesting. That is. What it was my. Let's just have a wee quick.
I was just fucking joking.
When I said shadow.
Goddamn.
Okay, well maybe there's something to the Jester. Okay.
Fuck, you got a trickster on your hands. That's not.
There is actually a shadow. There is a shadow, but I'll need to look at it in the TV after. So there you go. It's coming for you, Dan.
Interesting.
Very. There's always something that happens when I come on this show. What do you guys do?
Well, if it's
I know, but
if it's a 150-year-old spirit, it'll be right at home in my room with me. So that's perfect.
it'll be fine. It's maybe just into knitting and sewing and pottery and stuff like that. It's probably just it's happy.
Yeah, based on the layout of that room, it'll be its 20-year-old mistress.
Oh.
Oh my God, Dakota. Thank God I don't live in the same country. That's terrible. So, guys, what other locations have you been? I mean, obviously that barber's you were at was very interesting. That was just weird, that place. That was definitely weird. Did you ever manage to go into the cellar and dig up the floor?
No, we've never had that option. I mean, I don't think that he even really owns the building, does he, Dan?
So, fun fact, the basement of the tattoo shop where, you guys had mentioned going to the basement was previously owned by a drugstore that was next door. Then that was like where they had all of their, drug storage. So that was the reason we couldn't get access to it, because it was, it was protected in that fact.
Yeah.
That drugstore has since closed. So there is a possibility that we could get access to it, but we have not thus far.
Yeah. I mean, when I first seen that place, I was like, there's something not right about that place. It was up the stairs was all right, but it was like when you went down, it was weird. It was just, there was a weird depression kind of feel about it, and it was weird because that day that I was talking to you, I'm 100% sure I could see an old guy standing behind you where there was a door, and I didn't get there was a door there, and until you told me that.
Yeah, I remember that. We kind of looked at each other like that's where the old door was.
Yeah, it was like somebody for the 1920s sitting where how the storekeepers would be, and it was just like standing there like, look.
Yeah, and that was the the area you were talking about was like a huge opening that connected all of those storefronts. It was like a much larger space, and they don't have on record exactly what it was, but there's belief amongst some of the residents there that it was like some sort of like soda shop or an ice cream parlor or something like that, which would had that big pass through, So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns about not only that building but that town. Right. And
yeah,
we're going back to that area actually in May of this year. We are doing an investigation of the train station that was original to the town. They've moved it slightly. They moved it from one plot of land to another. And when they did that and they went to move the train station, they found a dead cat, like a mummified cat underneath the station. And
see, that's really interesting.
Well, that cat is seen all around the town. And when Derrick and I were there at the tattoo shop, it was pushing the cat balls, and we heard a meowing coming across our EVP, and it was rolling our cat balls back and forth. So we're going back to do that investigation in May.
See, that's very interesting. You say it. Very interesting. You say about the cat, because we had a Leonard Lowe come on to talk about witches in Scotland. The witch trials and stuff. And a lot of the old buildings, it's maybe tradition that's came across to the United States. They would put a mummified cat underneath the properties, houses, to protect them for like curses and bad omens and things. Yes.
No kidding.
Yes. Yeah. And it's maybe something that's it's maybe someone that's came over for the old country, Scotland or whatever. That building's been built and they thought, I'm going to put a mummified cat under there to keep the spirits and things out. Wow. You don't know. There might have been problems in the past. There might have been an Indian burial ground. You don't know.
It's very possible. This whole area had a lot of stuff like that we're finding out the more we do. That's interesting that you say that, because we're going to have to ask when we get out there. We're going to have to see if they're aware of anything with that, because like I said, it's the historical society of the town is, you know, who we're going through to do that investigation. So it'll be interesting to have that conversation with them, because I've never heard that before. When
you gave me the name of that town after I said I seen that guy and stuff like that, I actually researched the place. There was something to do with the Civil War. It was quite important in the Civil War. What I did find out, a lot of troops went through it, so it makes you wonder if any of their spirits are like lingering. And it also had like history of the slave trade too. Yeah.
Well, on top of it, that there's been a lot of those kind of things that were just buried because they weren't exactly, you know, okay to talk about and to spread around. So people just, whatever actually happened there, they were able to bury it and just forget about it. Yeah. So who's to really say what was going on there?
Yeah, and we know there's a place like closer to where I live than Derrick right now, but it's like 15 minutes down the road, down towards the river where the railroad runs. We just investigated a place there in, I think it was September or October of last year. It was previously only investigated one other time, but it was part of the Underground Railroad, and the whole town where we were at. Yeah. They're finding tunnels all the time, you know, where they would move these slaves, because they would come off of the trains. They went right along the river. They would come off the trains and then find a safe house within this town. And that location that we're talking about in Mars is probably like 40 minutes away from where.
Yeah, probably something like that.
There's a lot of that in this area, like Underground Railroad, ties to the Civil War, you know, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people that were coming up this way in Pennsylvania, they were going to Canada. So being that Mars is actually more north of there, it's possible they would have just kept going up that way. I have no idea what the way would have been, but it would have been the right direction, if nothing else.
It's an interesting place. I'm looking forward to when you guys go back. I really am, because that is an interesting place. Did you know they are live with Dakota? I'm sure Dakota joined you in one of your lives.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes, that was.
We actually were gonna actually join this session from that there. Shop. He wanted us to the owner wanted us to come do the podcast from his shop again. And I told him, I said, well, I'd be all for it. And unfortunately, Derrick couldn't make it out. So we stayed home, and I stayed in Grandma's living parlor.
Sorry? Or you're welcome.
Okay.
It could have been worse.
This is
Disneyland. That's fine. You're into your sewing. Don't worry about it. It's a modern age. A lot of men are into that kind of stuff. Don't be shy about it.
No,
that's no judgment.
No judgment here.
It's a judgment-free zone, like Planet Fitness.
So can you tell us about some other interesting locations before we get into showing some of your stuff?
Well, some of the stuff that we actually did send you are some of our more recent locations that have had more interesting results. There's one that we sent you. It's an old poor farm that just kept getting overcrowded over up in Greene County here, and the place is humongous. I mean, you step foot in there and you think you have an idea of where you're going, you know, the size of the place, and it's a whole different ball game once you get in there. And, you know, corridors left and right, and we didn't have enough cameras to set up all over the place, but we had some really interesting things happen there. That's one of the ones we'll talk about and show you. I mean, outside of that, we did a lot of returns. Recently, there was one that Dan didn't actually get to go to, but we were able to use him to kind of bounce some of what we found this time around versus the first time we went with him, just to have kind of an open mind there. And that was really cool to see that. And then, like I said, some of the residences, we have some really good evidence about.
Yeah. The last time you were on, you showed us when it was like a pool. It was a kind of room with a pool, and there was the shadow, and I was like, that was good. That was a good capture. Remember
Yeah,
that
that
one?
was at the music hall, the Carnegie Music Hall, where we got that.
Yeah. That.
Yeah,
So
so Derrick and I have been like, and Aaron, who's going to hopefully be joining us later on. We've been kind of branching. We're not saying we're getting away from the investigating the popular places, because those are always a good time, but we're trying to get more involved with historical societies, with businesses, that want help and are looking for support, individuals that are looking for support. So that's where, the train station, that's going to be a thing with a historical society, the Irish Townsend House in New Brighton, that was a historical society. Like these are incredible places that aren't necessarily known for their paranormal activity, but they have a really good story to tell, and they don't even, they're trying to dig up what that story is. And there's luckily some people that have a very open mind about paranormal side, about like what kind of information can be dug from that. So these people are entrusting us to come in and tell the story of these locations, and it's actually fascinating. Some of the things that we're not only able to capture, but we're able to validate through the historical societies. If we get names and we share that back with the people that run the place, and they're able to validate what we got, like that's what we can't get when we do some of these other places.
Well, and to that point, everything we find out is more meaningful to them. I mean, these large places that just are in it for money, that have that pull, that draw from these TV shows or whatever, they don't necessarily care what we find. And I guess rightfully so in a sense. If they have an investigative group coming in every weekend, finding out something different, how are you going to keep it all straight? But these smaller places, these lesser known places that have these small ties to the community, everything that we find means that much more. It's magnified to an extent, and I think that we come away from those with much more than some of these other bigger places.
Good to remember too, a lot of these bigger places have got like hundreds of people getting into them all every week, right? Different people get in every week. So the spirits, it's like we were talking in Emerald Isles Paranormal last night. It's like the spirits might get used to you coming in and out, right? Whereas you're going into somewhere new where never really been investigated, and the spirits are like, oh, who are these strange people? What are these people up to? What are these wanting? And they might communicate with you.
Yeah, and to that point, like if they don't have the ability, and like, because we take stuff in there that makes it easier for them theoretically to talk to us, and if they're not given that ability to do that very often, it's like when a child learns to talk, it's like, you just hold on, because everything's gonna come out that they couldn't say the first 2 or 3 years of their lives, so now they're going to be all pent up with all of this information and these stories and just this desire to be heard, and it's incredible that they were able to get some of the activity and the feedback, and specifically on the verbal side, right? I mean, that's where we pick up the more EVPs. That's where we pick up more spirit box activity. We can get stuff setting off our REM pod all day. We can get stuff moving little cat balls a lot, but for them to actually talk to us and try to tell us a name and tell them who they are, that doesn't happen as often in some of those bigger places.
Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, the spirits maybe get fed up because of all these people coming in wanting to perform tasks for them. Whereas you're going to like a new location and the spirits might want to communicate with you. They might want to tell their story, and then they'll be more like lively, as one would say.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we don't.
I'm being intrigued by you actually talking to them, whereas most of the time in these places they're kind of in the background. If they're doing something, it's while these places are under normal operations, and that's not why you're there. So there's always those different mindsets.
Yeah.
So Dakota, do you have some of? Oh, just got to say, on you go.
No, I was going to say, and also we could be going into these places and talking to just dead air, and we think we're getting stuff back, and we're just absolutely crazy. You know, there's also that possibility. There's also that possibility.
I'm still waiting for the straitjacket to come in.
Yeah.
If you don't go yours yet, Dakota, I got mine delivered last week.
Probably easier to fit you than it is me.
That's fine. That's right. You should probably get out of that kind of stuff. He lost his keys to his handcuffs the other day. He was punting around about his room. He was telling me he lost his keys to his handcuffs. Things that he gets up to, ladies and gentlemen. Things he gets up to.
If you only knew.
I don't want to know.
He keeps asking about it. I'm concerned.
Another show.
I find it interesting. I'm thinking, what do you want? Handcuffs? But look, it's fine. It's fine. You know. But honestly, see some of these new locations. The energy's in there. I mean, obviously, you're talking about how you were doing cleansings. Have you ever came across like spirits wanting help, like saying to you, "Please help me cross"? But then again, are they good spirits? Are they something else pretending to be? Have you ever came across that?
Yes, we have come across spirits asking for help numerous times. We have not had any come across saying we want help crossing over per se, but we hear a lot in our recordings the "help me," right? And it's like your stereotypical type paranormal feedback, right? Help me. But, that's typically in places where there's been, like Derrick was talking about the poor farm, like where these people were left in, really terrible conditions. So we don't know if that's residual at that point, or if they're actually something like if there's something telling us they want out of their current situation. We don't know, Derrick, that's the way I feel. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm always torn with that because I'm like, I don't want to hear that, or it's too cliche to hear that. So in the back of your mind, you're telling yourself, no, I'm not actually hearing that. But at the same time, most of the time we hear these things through recordings when we're going through our review. So a lot of the time when we hear these things where they're asking for help, it's not in the moment. So we can't really proceed down that path. A lot of the time, those are actually the things that we get through like EVPs a lot, rather than through Spirit Box, Phasma Box, the other types that we typically use. But there are actually EVPs that are very quiet. You need to really listen with headphones. It's not one of those things that we usually hear like live in person where we can proceed. But yeah, I agree with Dan. I mean, that's a lot of the time it's these places that these people wanted help on a regular basis, and it was a very strong energy, strong emotion that's tied to the building. So yeah, it's absolutely possible, and I think that most of the time we've talked about these things, that's what it's more like tied to is the building, is that tragedy that happened there.
There's a question in the chat there. That's for Louise. Do you have any particular favorite equipment you love to use?
Well, Derrick can go with his, and I have mine. Go with what's yours, Derrick?
So I feel like I'm in a transition period. Mine has always been the thermal.
Well, that's the podcast we're doing tomorrow, talking about your transition.
That's a different story.
Not this one.
My bad. I get my days confused.
Yeah.
Leave it.
What, a load of my wig?
Dead weight. Okay. No, but mine in the past has been the thermal camera. I've been able to see some things on that has literally stopped me in my tracks. It's also helped tie things together that we're hearing, knocks, whispers, that kind of thing. And we've captured some really cool stuff with them. I mean, things that are just unbelievable, where you see a body peering around the corner, or somebody sitting in a chair crossing their legs. I mean, all clearly on a thermal. And try to replicate it, there's no way. It's not possible. But recently, I think I've kind of been moving away from all the stuff in my face that's really taking away from the experience. And I started with the cameras. Like I stopped staring at those handheld video cameras the whole time. Recently it's been more along the lines of instead of me holding this camera right here, I'm in the moment. I'm trying to be there. And I think that's that kind of thing I take away personally a lot more from it. But my favorite piece of equipment right now, I like simple. I like the K2s, the REM pods, things that are right there, things that you can communicate with, and it's just some of it's just unbelievable, unexplainable.
Yeah. So for me, I am the really smart guy that tried to get Derrick away from using the technology so heavily. You know, so for me, my favorite equipment has always been my body. You know, and when I say that, like,
good answer.
Our ears, our even our skin, like the sensations that you have when you're like really paying attention to the building around you is probably the biggest thing. But it's unfortunately not something that we can capture to share with people, other than, you know, oh, I felt something touch me, or, you know, I feel a cold spot or something. Then we try to support that with our technology. But I personally like, you know, like my own senses more than anything else, because that's what at least drives us in a place where we can, you know, employ some of our other technology and get something out of it. But as far as, you know, pieces of equipment are concerned, we've had phenomenal results recently with flashlight activity. So we'll put little mini mag lights up around the room, and we'll have them turn the lights on and off to answer questions. And there's a lot of discussion around whether or not those are reliable sources. But, you know, when something happens where you ask a question and this light that hasn't turned on for 20 minutes immediately turns on, like that to me is really good at, like, that's really hard to debunk and say that that's something with a flashlight, you know, with the way the flashlight functions. So I've really been.
I know.
No, I was just saying I've really been gravitating towards the use of those and trusting those more, because you can tell when it's just, you know, it's set up too fine of an adjustment or something. But sometimes it's mind blowing what we get out of those things.
Oh yeah, the clear cut responses, the yes or no's. It's so hard to discount any of that.
Dakota?
I was about to say, why don't we go ahead and get into some of these videos that you got?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, before you start rambling out there the rest of the show there, Chris, God.
Come on, I love talking to these two.
I know. That was just about to say. I know Derrick's saying he's trusting his body. I vaguely recall an incident where he felt like something was stuck in a sausage up his ear, but.
How do you know it was a sausage?
I was using a euphemism.
A paranormal. Pete, are you still
Pete,
here?
Pete?
A paranormal sausage.
It's a ghost sausage.
Was it warm to the touch?
It was after I talked to it for a little bit.
Yeah, he was talking right into it.
Yep.
Like, that's not the mic, Dan.
So this one's really neat. This one's probably one of my favorite captures that we've had recently.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a simple trail cam, and we had it set up in one of the more active wings where there have been shadows, doors opening, closing, that kind of, you know, the age-old paranormal activity. This
This is at that the poor farm in Greene County.
Can I just say there's nothing coming up for me? Is there anything coming up for you, Dakota?
Yeah, it's coming up for me just fine.
There's nothing. It's just a blank screen and me and you guys below me.
All right. Chat, you guys able to see it and everything okay? Or we
You guys, can you see this?
I can see it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm able to see it as well.
Okay.
That's weird that, because I can see it on my phone, but I can't see it on the screen.
Well, nobody cares about you.
I'll watch it on my phone.
It's a very hard realization to get to, Chris, but sometimes we just don't care.
It's absolutely fine.
You're not as special as you think.
I know. It's okay. A wee tear coming out my eye there. A wee tear.
Here's a quarter to call someone who cares.
So, Chris, hopefully you can see it on your phone. So this clip, you're gonna see two things happen in this clip: the lights that are turning on and off, and a figure standing at the end of the hall inside the door. And what you can see is more or less somebody's like left arm coming down from the door frame on the left-hand side, and you can see it move.
Yeah, you almost like need to pause it right at the end there.
Yeah. I seen that. Yep.
Like, yeah, something's definitely just poked its head out and tried to get away, but it's like, still see you.
Yeah, and the lights flicking on and off. We were not playing with any lights. We were, told specifically, do not touch the light switches. So we weren't touching light switches. We did not notice any lights coming on or off anywhere in the building. And what's very odd to me is they're turning on in rooms. There was for us to have access to light switches. They were like a light switch at a central point that you would turn on and the entire hallway would light up.
And you can actually see one of those lights up above on that ceiling. I think that I believe that's one of those lights that would light up the whole hallway, and you can tell that's not turning on or off.
So you can see that figure or whatever like move towards the end of the video.
Oh yeah, that's creepy.
That is damn.
It was very odd to us, and we don't have an answer for what that is. We only caught it this one time. We had that trail camera set up all night. So if there was one of us that had moved past the camera to go back into that room, we would have had, we would have tripped the camera before and after. So you would have seen somebody walking down the hall to that area, and then we would know we were there. But this camera was, didn't pick up anything. I think later on in the evening, Derrick, I'm sure we got other videos because we did go back to this area not knowing we had captured this.
Yeah, we had no idea until our review. That's the only thing with the trail cams. But at the same time, you're setting the camera and walking away. You don't really do much else with it. But I actually find it very interesting that the lights and the shadow are occurring at the same time, as if there's some kind of energy moving down the hallway towards that door or something along those lines.
And this, you can see, this is the brick part of the building. This was the original part of the poor farm. They added additions onto this, like behind where this camera is facing. So, but this is the original part of this building with all the brick.
That is interesting.
Right?
Oh.
It's quite interesting because I came up and got to say here, and it's got to annoy some folk in that, but see the door to the left, it's my left, above the Iron City logo, you've got the white, the door that's open and then closed. You see what I'm talking about? That's that.
That light.
I'm not a particular believer in orbs and stuff like that. I believe in, obviously, it's maybe just dust. But see, at the very start, it's as if something walks out, and you can see it coming down. It's just like a wee orb. It's weird. Just watch the door. You'll see what I mean. Yep.
Yeah, it's very faint. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Only you, Chris, would get fascinated by flying dirt.
It probably is. It's probably just dust. The poor slaves haven't done their duties, and that. It's probably just dust, and but that shadow at the very bottom's strange.
It is.
Yeah, so here's where it's fun doing what we do, right? Like Derrick said, we didn't know we captured this. So now when we go back to this location, now we have more information, to come back, and we're going to focus on this area a little bit more than we are. But there are so many things that we just cannot explain going on here because, like I said, the way the light switches were wired, the way that,
And I believe
rooms
that
are
the
flickering
historical
on and off.
society, that was one of their direct questions, right? If I'm remembering this correctly, is they were asking about the light switches, and then they said something about the lights not looking right.
Yes.
And that kind of was able to back this up, that it's like we didn't even have access to that.
Yeah, no, they specifically asked us, don't turn on individual light switches. There was a set of 4 light switches, like at the central location on each floor, that we could use to light up an entire wing at a time. But these ones are coming on like in individual rooms. So we just don't even know how this could have happened because I don't even know. Like, we never tried to go in a room and flick a light switch. So we don't know if that light would turn on or not. So we just don't know. And like I say, when we go back there, we'll ask them and show them this and try to talk to them. But there's just so many unknowns at this point. That's the best we can do is just show what this was,
It's fantastic capture.
It is.
It really is.
You can next one pulled up.
Yeah,
Not
let's
too
get the
many
next
ads.
one pulled up. This is great. This is like a, what do you call it? A kid in the candy store.
Whoa,
this was
hello.
another moment of a trail cam, and this was our safe area.
Yeah, but right there in the reflection area.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So you see almost like a flip, like the light.
The light
cycle.
almost turns into it too.
Yeah.
If you watch
and then you
the
see
light
that
moving
shadow
from the
walk
left.
across.
Mm-hmm.
You can clearly see someone walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there. And like Derrick was saying, this was the main room where we had all of our equipment set up. Or I'm sorry, not set up, but like all of our cases and everything brought in. We took the equipment from this location, took it out. We got pizza delivered partway through the night. We ate in this room. Like this was our kind of our lunchroom, so to speak. So anytime we were in here, you can clearly see it's somebody. It wasn't a question. We weren't shadows. We were people, right? So when we saw this, it was interesting. And when we take this, I don't know the timing of it. I don't know if we really could piece the information together, but the way that shadow is walking left to right, it's walking
towards that hallway.
Yeah, it's walking back over towards another section of the building where we captured another trail cam capture of a shadow figure walking and standing in the doorway, looking in to see what was going on, and then turning around and walking away. I don't know if you shared that with them, Derrick.
Yeah, it's the last one on this page, the kitchen shadow. But it's like what Dan's saying. I mean, it's very interesting about the timing.
Yeah, and you can see we don't have the time set on the camera, and we need to do that. We need to update the
we
times.
have a few times, but anytime that we change a card out, it does like some
Yeah.
weird default setting.
Yeah.
It's strange.
That's some of those tarot games are bad about that.
So yeah, if you want to pull up that other one, that last one he was saying on that list, I think that one, it's really cool how they kind of are very similar. So we have that like shadow figure. So you'll see it. I think it's actually in the window that you see the reflection of it.
It's almost a reflection of the shadow.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe to add to this, there was another group that had come in. What was it? A month before that, or was it even longer?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like a long time, but it was.
It was recent enough that we remembered that moment. But they said almost the exact same thing, where they saw a shadow in this window in the kitchen.
It's as if there's two spirits in this one. It's weird.
Like, yeah, the shadow's casting a shadow.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, based on the weird head shape, are you sure that's not Derrick?
See, that's the good thing about my head shape is you would know that that's not.
That's true. It just looks like a frying pan walking past the room whenever Derrick walks by.
What are you talking about? It like it takes this light and it just like shoots it in every direction. So you would have known right then and there.
I know that.
But the crazy thing about this room and why we had this camera pointing the way we did, on the left-hand side, you see that fire poker leaning up against the wall?
Yep.
There's a giant brick oven on the left-hand side. You can actually see the dark marks on the wall coming up from that little porthole.
Yeah.
That's an oven that they used to cook in. That's why this is a kitchen. But there is a story.
Is that what you do with that?
What's that?
Is that what you do with that room? You cook in it?
Yes, Derrick. That's what we do.
Could do something else.
But the story goes that one of the patients at the poor farm, a patient's prisoner, whatever the hell you want to call them, one of the people in the poor farm had a child, an infant child that she thought was cold, so she put it in that oven to keep it warm. And hours later, people in the building smelled what they thought smelled like a turkey baking in the oven, and they came back, and it was the child that she cooked alive in that oven.
Wow.
So that's why we had this trained the way that we did, on that oven. But then you see that reflection. Like I said, I wish we had these synchronized together to see, when that shadow walked in that adjacent room, and then when we picked this up, I don't know if they coincide or if it, it just happened.
We don't really have much way to tell. I mean, not with the way these things reset.
Right.
Mm-hmm. See if you watch it there. I mean, I know it's casting like a shadow, but is it a casting a shadow because the shadow behind it looks a lot smaller, like a child? As if there's two. You see what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. There is a height difference on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The second shadow seems to conform more to the wall. That's why I was saying it looked like it was casting it itself.
Mm.
So it's like there's two there. There's like an adult and a child.
Dumb and Dumber. Huh.
And again, we have video, that recorded on this camera. If one of us walked by that doorway and there was a reflection in the window, you can clearly see that it's a person. So we don't know what it is. We can't guarantee you that it's, the ghost of a person that cooks babies. But what we can tell you is that, it stands out as being different than the other videos that this captured. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up while you're in there.
Might as well since we're here. No,
Appreciate it.
That's a real good catch. Damn.
We're up to 5 now.
Yes.
Yeah,
What do you think, chap? What do you think about that? That's fantastic, that.
Chad's probably thinking I should shut up and let other people talk.
That's how I usually feel about
You're
him.
the talent, Dan.
Sorry, Derek. You can take it.
That's terrible. Where's my big stick?
Your big what?
My big stick. I've got a stick that I can usually bring down, you know.
Oh, you're compensating for something.
God, that's right. You know. But as I think that as a child, I do think that's a child. That's yeah. At the very start, it's as if something walks past the door to the left, and then there's like a adult ghost, and then there's a wee child. Unless it's the same ones.
Let's see. But yeah, that second shadow does kind of look like it has a hood on or something.
I was going to say a nun, but there wasn't any nuns there, would there?
We don't know.
It's possible. There wasn't a lot of good documentation kept back then.
I just hope it wasn't like,
does look like
nun. We don't want the nun. We don't want.
That'll be fine.
Valid.
But it does look like a nun. You see, I don't know if anybody's noticed this. A nuns usually get the old. I mean, how far back are we talking here? What century was this place built?
Ooh, this was prior to the Civil War. I know that much.
Yeah, it was built.
Right.
I know it was in the 19th century that it was built. I just don't know how early.
Well, I want to say it was like 1850s, maybe. But at that point, it was just for a family. It wasn't until like the Civil War occurred that they really needed to add to the poor farms, and this entire area kind of blew up with them. But that's really when it started as a poor farm, was right around the Civil War.
Unless I don't know what they're called in America. Remember, you used to see like the slaves would, especially the women, would wear like a headdress. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That worked in the house
Mm-hmm.
in buildings. I don't know if, I'm wondering if that's what we're seeing here. It's maybe no a nun. It's maybe a slave wearing some type of head. Can you be? I can't remember what they're called, but I've seen them in like Civil War programs.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, this place, like Derek was saying, from the time that it ran as a private house to the time that it was a poor farm and everything in between, there was such a large period of time that it could have been, anybody's guess what people would be wearing, or people, what their function was to be there. There's just so many variables that we really can't guess.
That's a cracker if I capture him, isn't that?
It is.
Well, thanks for continuously playing it, because now we'll actually get like some views since nobody watches our stuff.
That was probably me watching it 30
Don't worry,
times.
I'll go in tonight and watch a bit. Don't worry, I'll go in tonight and watch it about 50 times or something.
Hey, perfect. Take a picture of the back of her straight onto her back.
This was one of those moments that was, like Dan was saying with the flashlight. This was interesting for two reasons. There's another video that we shared, or maybe it's a picture of the thermal camera. Erin was standing there kind of right off screen. I believe that's her glow stick, Dan, if I'm correct.
On the left?
On the right.
Red. Yes.
I think that was her.
Yes.
So, but she was feeling something cold on the back of her neck. We took the thermal camera to it, and you could actually see, like, it looks like a handprint on the back of her head. As we're talking about that, this flashlight, which hadn't been going off at all. I mean,
no,
all
we
of a
were
sudden-
getting ready to leave that room because it was just sitting there doing absolutely nothing.
Take a picture of the back of her straight onto her back because you're on kind of an angle in that second one.
So then, like, you know, hearkening back to that discussion about like using, you know, our senses to drive our equipment. This is what Derrick captured on the back of Erin whenever, you know, he put the thermal on the back of her head. And she's saying she felt something like touching below, like on her neckline on the bottom of her hair.
You can kind of see like something. Let me get closer.
I'm glad you elaborated that's a person, because I was thinking something way different.
I don't even need to guess.
Oh God, what have you been doing, Derrick? At the darkness.
But yeah, so you can see the camera on the last footage would have been to her left, looking kind of off to the side. So we weren't even paying attention to that flashlight. We were paying attention to what was happening on the thermal camera. You can hear us talking about it. I believe.
Back of her straight onto her back because you're on kind of an angle in that second one.
So we're talking about the thermal image when this light goes off. So you combine those two, you see in the thermal the outline of her body with what looked like to us as a handprint there. You know, we just kind of put these things together, but without her saying something, we might not have got any of this stuff. We would have had nothing to go off of.
It does look like a handprint, I must admit.
It does.
Yeah, it's like almost looks like a hand and then like a forearm continuing.
Yeah, I mean, you think like Thing maybe from the back of her head.
Yes. Yeah, I think that absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. Confirmed.
Now we know.
There's a question from Louise there. Do you find it's heat or cold signatures that seem to show yours more?
Take a picture of the back of her straight onto her back. Because you're on
so what we typically see on the thermal for you know, unexplainable heat signatures typically is cold. So a thermal picks up temperature, right? So theoretically, when something is using your energy or the energy surrounding, you know, the entity or whatever it is, they're absorbing the energy, which removes heat from that area to manifest, to touch us, to do whatever. That's why typically things are colder, right? So we have picked up in Gettysburg, we do have a really cool thermal video that actually comes out hotter than the surrounding area of something like a figure walking across the battlefield. But we don't typically see warmer signatures. That's why we didn't think that it was something when it was captured, because it was a hot signature. But then when we shined the flashlight over there was nothing there. So to answer the question, usually it's colder than the surroundings, but sometimes we have seen it where it's hotter.
It's more of just a big major energy change or heat signature change, because that camera can pick up somebody and the color as you're moving can still look like it's hot, even though it's just, I mean, not that it's cold, it's just not as hot as it once was. So you can still pick these things up with the heat signature. It's just not going to be as hot, if that makes sense. But to Dan's point about removing the energy, and you can actually see it drain through the heat sensitivities. It's very possible.
Yeah, so Mad Lulu said they were getting a hot heat signature the other night. I'm assuming on an investigation. It's absolutely possible.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's absolutely possible that, and especially because it's a thermal is color versus the surrounding. So it's hotter than, like Derrick was saying, hotter than, colder than, So I think if you take, that's where we get the best is if you take, the thermal, what it's reading, and then validate it with something else, like another piece of equipment. Is there somebody standing there? Is there, somebody interacting with another object? If you're able to piggyback off of each other, it's very possible getting the high heat signature, but it could be coming from something paranormal.
It does look weird, I must admit, that on the back of the head. I mean, it's just odd looking.
Take a picture of the back of her straight onto her back, because you're on kind of an angle in that second one.
And move on.
Well, I'm bossy on these investigations, aren't I, Derrick?
I mean, someone's got to be. You just step up at great times.
So these are clear footsteps.
Yeah, so this was at the end of one of those long hallways that you saw before, right outside of a highly trafficked area of the barbershop. What we noticed were a few different things, and we tried to take this thermal camera around the entire area. So that's why you see more of a video than just a picture like before. We were trying to figure out if we step here, what would this look like? So what you can actually see is that white,
I've taken a lot of pictures of you tonight.
whatever you want to call that. That was actually one of our tools. That was our computer screen. So you can see behind that what looked like a pair of feet,
I've taken a lot of pictures of you
kind of
tonight.
standing, not moving. We went back later in the night to try to see if whatever it was just there. And there was nothing there. At that same time, that's when we were getting a lot of like knocks through our recorders, through the EVPs, kind of just down hallways, as if we were just picking up some kind of residual in this area. But yeah, that was one of those interesting moments where we were able to videotape us actually trying to debunk something like this and figure out what exactly it was.
It does look like a set of footprints.
I know, I've taken a lot of pictures of you tonight.
It does.
Thank you.
Very
But,
strange.
Aaron can make an appearance in voice, if nothing else.
Thank you.
It's hard to find good help, Derrick, isn't it?
I'm still looking.
We can say whatever we want. She's not going to watch this.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Makes you wonder who was standing there.
I know, I've taken a lot of pictures of you tonight.
We didn't really pinpoint anybody in that area, but we did get a lot of voices as if we were just overhearing kind of like conversations. Something that may have been imprinted in one of those areas that was just kind of everybody has been to in the building. Everybody goes, everybody talks, and kind of just tells their story, more of a social kind of thing. But we never really.
This was right outside of the barber shop for the building. Mm-hmm. So all of the men could go there to get their hair cut. The women couldn't, but the men could go there to get their hair cut. And you figure there's probably quite a number of people that were in and out of that small room every day. They still have a few barber chairs in there and things that were, I don't know if they were original to the building or if they were brought in, but it kind of set the scene, right? And it's almost like there's, I don't want to say like a line, but it's just these people. And when we were doing Phasma Box later in the night, we asked if they wanted to listen to music. And they said they did. So then we asked them to play what song they wanted to hear, because we were going to play the music, maybe stir them up a little bit that way. They actually told us a song that neither Derrick or I or Aaron had ever heard of before. So then we played it.
It was like a song. We had to look it up.
It was like a 1920s song or something like that.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
I think we got enough time to squeeze in one more. I have no clue. The timer on my end, as far as how long we've been going, reset. So I have no clue how long we've been going.
1 hour, 10 minutes. 1 hour and 10 minutes.
We've done worse.
Yeah. Come on, let's see some air. We can stay on our own Jenny show the other night for about 3 hours.
Yeah, for an hour and a half long goodbye.
That's completely
Thanks
different.
for
though.
coming out.
Yeah, turn that on.
So this was in the dungeon, and I know Dan can
Hello?
talk about this area a lot more. This was just one of the moments that we got on video of the
Wow.
K2 just kind of flickering down there. But I know that he had some
Thanks for coming
experience
out.
earlier in the night in that area where things were using the K2 to answer him.
Yeah, so I was down in this area. So they call it the dungeon
Really?
because there were
Wow.
old iron
Thanks for
handcuffs
coming
that
out.
when they were looking through the building were found hanging on the wall and like bolted to the wall
Hello?
in one of the rooms on the right hand side of this hallway.
Really?
So they call it the
Wow.
dungeon. They think that that's where they would put
Thank you for coming out.
patients when they weren't behaving, weren't listening to the things that they were supposed to. They would put them down there potentially.
Hello?
So it was myself and
Really?
Aaron's mother was actually with
Wow.
us on this one, and her and I, when we
Thank you for
investigate
coming out.
together, just the two of us, like we get some really cool things because we're both sensitive to some extent. And
Hello?
she had something where she could feel like we would not get
Really?
anything on our K2. And,
Wow.
she started to feel like there was something holding on to her
Thank you for
arm
coming out.
and, would take the K2 and put it right by her arm and it would light up like a Christmas tree, and we followed it and we would follow it into rooms. And if I would branch off of her,
Really?
it would stop. It'd only be
Wow.
whenever the two of us were together in this area that,
Thank you
the
for coming
K2
out.
would do anything. So we rule out any kind of mobile interference. We always have our plane or our cell phones on airplane mode when we do investigations, so that we're not getting text messages. There's no data transfer.
Wow.
Yeah.
When we went back to this
Thank you for
area,
coming
it
out.
wasn't as active as it was when it was just her and I. So when we went back here,
Hello?
there was more of us, and we think that whatever was here
Really?
was too shy and didn't want to
Wow.
talk to everybody
Yeah,
as a group.
I think we scared him off because there was a
Thanks for
total of
coming
like
out.
7 of us.
than they were, the whole experience.
Hello?
It's very interesting that.
Really? Wow.
See how it's like dull and down. I've never really seen that
Thank you
before.
for coming out.
Oh, and that was just a flicker, something kind of passing by almost.
Hello?
What Dan was referring to earlier, like
Really?
the K2, I saw
Wow.
what, maybe a picture, just your description, but either way, it was going all the way up
Thank
to
you for
red. It
coming
wasn't
out.
just a quick flicker. It was a strong energy pool in signature that was kind of guiding him.
Hello?
Yeah, and it was when we were getting that stuff down there, just her and I.
Wow.
That was earlier in the night when we were trying
Thank you for
to
coming out.
kind of assimilate ourselves to the environment, kind of get used to the energies that were there and everything, try to see what we had
Really?
as like smaller groups
Wow.
to try to cover the most area. And then we
This-
would try to refocus
Thank
all
you
of
for
our
coming
equipment
out.
in a certain area if we had one versus the other that was, had a different vibe to it. So we didn't have any
Hello?
equipment with us besides a K2 meter and like a cell
Really?
phone or something, voice recorder, that kind of simple stuff. So we didn't have anything to back it up. But
Thank you for coming
I think
out.
I have
Yeah.
cell phone videos of it. But outside of that, didn't have
In
too much.
your recorder, I do believe, had produced some whispers.
Hello?
I don't know how much time we have left, guys, but I did
Really?
give you some recordings from
Wow.
this, and we could never decipher what they said,
Thank
but
you
we
for
got
coming out.
whispers after the fact, just kind of in our review again find all this stuff after, not during.
Hello?
I'm sure Dakota we could fit in some EVPs.
We'll see.
It's only 1 hour 15 minutes into the show. Fine.
We're going to try to beat Jenny's record. Is that what you're doing?
Oh my god, I will be. Jenny likes her shows.
We
I
tease
couldn't
with
feel
love,
my
Jenny.
legs after
Remember
my
it.
show last night.
You want to complain? He's the one that said it, not me.
No, Jenny's shows are amazing. If you remember, check it out. Emerald Isles Paranormal, amazing show last night.
Drink up. Yeah. So we'll give this Elizabeth here.
Don't you know? I think you might have to fast forward this one to like a minute 2 and then a minute 8 are the 2 timestamps on this one. The whispers I was referring to are towards the bottom of this list. If you did want to just listen to those ones, but you know, have at any of them. If there is one of you, what is your name? We had it back to back there.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that was through our Phasma box.
If there is one of you, what is your name?
That's interesting.
Nothing that tied together. No other Elizabeths really has surfaced to our knowledge.
All right, let's check this whisper.
So kind of in the background, you can hear the footsteps. That would be Dan and Aaron's mom in this clip. And at this particular moment, you can hear a woman's voice. That is Aaron's mom.
Yeah. And we have a very strict no whisper policy when we talk to each other.
It's towards the end there where it almost sounds like a few syllables, but we never got anything out of it, and we could never really replicate that in any of the other recordings. I've tried to enhance that, and it doesn't really produce too much.
I hate when that happens.
It's interesting.
Like,
well, I also hate tinkering with it too much because then you're taking away from what it actually is, you know?
Right.
True.
I believe it was right there, like right early on, around 2 seconds or so.
Yeah, you hear it.
And then again at the end. But again, nothing. I know we wouldn't have been whispering. Like Dan said, we have a no whisper policy. If you go with us anytime before we start something, like if you got to say something, say it. And I believe at both of these times, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but that was just you and Jill. So I know that you wouldn't have been whispering, and I think she kind of got the gist of it. Like you wouldn't have been having a conversation by whispering, basically.
No, never. And Derrick and I will hit people if they whisper. We will turn around and punch them in the face. So we're pretty strict with it.
Oh.
Yeah, you hear it there.
Sounds like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things the woman, the host from the Historical Society that was there that night, the one thing that she told us was that teams that investigate there typically have more communication on repeat investigations. It's almost like, you know, the spirits get used to people. So a lot of what we captured as far as verbals at this location were like these types of whispers, like they were around, but they just didn't want to talk to us, kind of thing, or they were like unsure about us, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we're actually very interested in going back to this location at some point.
Yeah. It might be different the next time you go back. There might be there's.
We'll also know kind of some of the areas to pinpoint too, just based on some of these trail cams. I mean, I don't think we spent a lot of time actually investigating the kitchen aside from a pass through here and there, and the end of that hallway there. I don't think we would have had any reason to really pinpoint that one room. So we now would know that.
Yep.
Definitely.
Well, where can everybody find you? Obviously, you've got your YouTube channel. You can stick that in the chat for everybody. The links will be below this video too. But you just want to give yourselves a plug, guys.
Go ahead, Dan. It's all you. It's your favorite
All right.
part.
So our main form of social media is Iron City Paranormal on Instagram. That is, when I say main, that's the one that we update the most often. As Derrick's going through evidence, we will put stuff on Instagram and ask for people's feedback if we hear something that we can't really make out and want people to, provide some support one way or another. Tell us we're crazy. Tell us what they hear. Instagram is like our most updated. We stay pretty up to date on Facebook as well. It's also Iron City Paranormal on Facebook. We started the YouTube channel, so we use it for two things. We use it for a dump of everything. All of our media goes on there. That's video, at least. We will.
I'll label that as raw, just so no one's thinking this is something else. This is literally a dump of all of our evidence. Everybody and anybody can get their eyes on it. Give us their feedback. We've had so many comments like, "What are we looking at?" Like, you tell us.
Yeah, you tell
that's
us.
the intent.
Here. Yeah, so we have also started on our YouTube channel, putting some videos together. They're not anything like, us running around in haunted houses and freaking out whenever we hear, somebody run into something. We're not like the Ghost Adventures kind of stuff. That's not our vibe. But we have started to put some videos together of like a conversation of the history of the location, with some cool pictures that Derrick's able to dig up, some footage from the investigation, any evidence that we capture, all of that goes onto a video, and that we've started to do that. So you'll see that on our YouTube channel as well. But really,
I believe we had just updated one earlier today. So I mean, it's all brand new stuff that we're just kind of, as we get to it, we're trying to put something together to share.
Yeah. And then the last one is our website. It's ironcityparanormal.org. That one's also where, prior to the investigation, Derrick will put up a history of the location, have any kind of paranormal history to it. If there's people that have had experiences there that we know of beforehand, he'll put that in the write-up.
And then we're able to kind of share that out via our social media and have had some really good feedback and success by getting even more stories. This person was associated with this place. They have a family lineage from there, something like that we can then pull from as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So do you accept any haunted items?
Remarkably, yes, we do. We sure do.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got like an artifact that's maybe possessed by like Satan itself, these are the two guys to send it to. Derrick has definitely got to take it. He's got to sit in his living room. He's got to sit there at night.
It goes in my office. I'm there every day. Spend some time with them.
If Derrick would die from suspicious circumstances, we'll know why.
It wasn't my wife.
When he wakes up one morning with a full head of hair, he'll be like, "My God, this doll is a blessing."
What the hell happened?
It works.
Everybody will be wanting to show you.
God.
Yeah. So, Dakota, do you want to say anything before we head off?
Want to thank you guys for coming on again. Y'all are always more than welcome. Yeah, if you like, we can get you linked up on our streaming service. Maybe try to get some more people sent your way. For your YouTube channel. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to be on with you guys. We always have a good time. So thank you very much.
It took so long to get back on.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll need to get you back on again soon. And honestly, thank you for coming on, because I'm going to rewatch this back tonight because I want to see what that shadow was.
Yeah, so do I. Get it. Grab a screenshot of it if you can.
Definitely.
Yes. I'll be a wee doll. I'll be creeping a bit.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture about that little guy. I'll dig him out for you.
It's like I think we
Yeah,
had
that'd
one
be good.
person in the chat say they might have seen it, but it was his brother, so that's a questionable source.
That is a questionable source. That is definitely a questionable, especially on a Saturday night. You know,
At least
on
you
the
have
Easter
family
break.
support. They're paying attention.
That's true.
Mm.
That's true. Neither
So
of our
Dakota-
wives commented on this one. So
No, but
that
I
makes
might
it
get a
more-
text from my mom in a little bit.
Well, at least we got something.
Well, apparently my sister uses this show to help calm down her 4-month-old, so
Nice.
No, nice.
It must
Start her
there you
young.
go.
That's awesome.
But honestly, everybody in the chat have a fantastic Easter break. You guys stay. I hope you get lots of chocolate eggs. You can sit and eat them all tomorrow. Dakota, what's on the show tomorrow? We're talking about robots tomorrow.
Hey, that was one of your picks, man.
Yeah, we're talking about AI. We're talking about the latest robotics that's coming. Just think you'll be able to take a robot ghost hunting soon with you. Would you know like that if you can afford it? That is, you know.
I thought that was a
Hey,
Tesla.
if you provide the robot and the programming, we will absolutely take it with us on an investigation, but we will not buy our own.
Oh, they're not that expensive. Oh, like a couple of $100 million or something like that.
You know, you got a couple thousand, nice couple car payments to do you.
Like I said, you
it
give
wouldn't take you
us
long
the
to pay it
equipment,
off.
we will run it.
Yeah, well, when Bald and Bonkers is a big corporation, we're making billions every year, we'll buy a robot.
And now we have
after he gets his sex toy.
We do.
It might be the same
there you
thing.
go. If you're into that kind of stuff,
whoa.
that's
Chris,
if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into that kind of stuff,
a little more than you realize, brother.
Derrick is into this kind of stuff. Look, as he says, he got a doll sent to him. You know, he's into these things. You know.
I didn't. From the description, it didn't sound like the doll needed patched up when Derrick had a rough weekend. But hey,
You don't need to know certain things. You know, we just don't ask questions.
oh, no, hey, no,
It's fine.
Hey, no
It's
judgment
fine.
here. No judgment here.
No judgment here. No judgment here. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for coming on, and everybody in the chat. I'll see you all tomorrow night. See you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Stay
Take care,
spooky.
everybody.
Hey, I'm
Yes.
up. I'm up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking for a new co-host. He died suddenly tonight. Oh, yeah, fuck, you're back alive again. Damn, doesn't matter. I'm not looking for a co-host.
I'm probably going to be looking for a co-host because you don't know how when to shut the fuck up, and you're going to be in trouble tomorrow.
I know. It's the 1st of April. Tomorrow, maybe the government will come and say, no, I've been running adverts. They say you can't offend anyone.
It'd be one hell of a
Yeah,
prank
imagine how
if
that's
they
got
were
to be.
pushing
Can you
that.
imagine the amount of false claims it's got to go on? Oh, there was a man, and he looked at me, and I felt threatened. I want him arrested. Telling you. The amount of nutcases that are out there, there'll be so many false claims.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
You're awfully quiet, man, tonight. Yeah,
You're awfully hyper fucking tonight.
Say something witty but funny at the same time.
No.
No, I don't know. Maybe the aliens are coming to take me away. I don't know. But there you go.
Why the fuck do they want you?
I'm their supreme leader, you know. Come down here. It's a terrible, terrible job, but somebody had to do it. Why does it always look like I've got a set of legs on a Sunday? Last week I was like Humpty Dumpty, and this week I've got another set of legs. Do you see that?
Well, you're always complaining that your legs are hurting.
They're really bad. Bone pain. Tell you about it after the show. But anyway, never mind that. Who's all in the chat? We've got quite a few interesting people in there. We have got Louise. We've got Stephanie. We've got Simply Alan. Good to see Alan. I was out with him today at a location. We've got Dots. We've got Ken. And we've got some lurkers watching us from beyond. You know?
Of course, we got a lot lurkers, you know.
But
hey, you know, maybe they're just on a funky device.
Maybe so. They'll be waiting. They'll be sitting there taking their notes to know Chris might say something offensive.
Yeah, knowing some of the people that you tend to piss off.
Well, I've got that unique personality, you know. I never say anything bad, you know. So, how's your Easter? How's your Easter been going? How's your Easter? Any candies?
You hear how quick he was trying to change the conversation the second he noticed my face? This is why you gotta turn the lights to those, ladies and gentlemen.
Because I've pissed off some people. I mean, you've not pissed off that many people. Some. Wait, look. The reason I pissed them off, right, I'm going to say this once and clear and once and for all. I pissed off some people because I'm not getting used, right? So that simple fact that I'm doing my own way in life, you know, and they can find their own way in life instead of riding my coattails, you know, and beyond. Okay. And that's probably annoyed them now because I've just went and said that. Now they'll probably leave a comment demanding.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it's not the 1st of April.
Yeah.
Unless it's a repeat of that. How would that work? That wouldn't be that at this stage. It wouldn't be right, you know. I'm going to have to move to America. Think they would take me to come across the border. Get the ladder out and climb down.
I don't know. It depends on how much your police force actually tries to enforce it.
Well, I don't know. I think they'll let some folk over. I think they'll be like, let's face it, they've got other crimes to go against. I think it's got to be more racially motivated thought crimes, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm.
But the thought crimes that brings you down into the George Orwell 1984, doesn't it? That brings you into that. I mean, I see it was Alex Jones. He was going off his head at what they're doing here. You can't be. He's like he goes bonkers.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, should definitely try to get him on the show one of these days.
It'd be interesting. I quite like him. I think he's mad, but he's interesting at the same time. You know.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah,
so, speaking of Alex Jones and
yes,
conspiracy level areas, well, there's a couple events now that are kind of up in red flags. First off, the first one that took place, the Baltimore Bridge collapse.
Yes.
Or the boat running into it.
I'm going to say this, right? Did you see that? I don't know if you've seen that comment that I put in TikTok under that weird light that I go about
TikTok. TikTok. I've heard
exactly.
I've heard of TikTok, not TikTok. What kind of websites are you going to?
What is that? Is this like a new one that you go as? I'd never heard of TikTok before.
There you go. You're the one that brought it up. You're the one that brought it up, man.
But anyway, TikTok, right? I put a comment saying, look, the bridge is old. Was it 1970s it was built? Somewhere about then. Right? There's gas lines running across it. There's electricity lines running, high voltage power cables running across it. There's also communication cables running across it, because I actually looked it up. And they're saying the sparks coming off it when it's collapsing is charges for like a secret military organization. It's just fucking wires breaking. I will say there's some strange stuff going on. I'm going to say that now with the ships and stuff like that, and other problems that other people have had. But look, the bridge was built, as my brother said to me the other night in the Xbox, Drew, that's in the chat there. The bridge is like a big Meccano set. It's old, and it was like a chain reaction. It just all collapsed. It's not like modern suspension bridges now.
Yeah.
Get what I'm saying?
That's what a lot of people don't realize. All those little sparks you see, those are all the lines fucking snapping. It's not detonation charges. If you actually knew anything about charges, those would not have done any significant damage. Maybe to some of the cars that were on there.
That's terrible. The people that were killed. That's horrendous. And I'm going to say this: you ever noticed about TikTok? You get people that have never ever served in the military their entire lives. All of a sudden, they're military experts. They know everything about the military because they've watched a couple of videos on YouTube. I was watching one guy. He was going on about it. He says, "Oh yes, you can see how the charges detonated and how the C4 was placed in such and such a unit." But the guy has never served in the military in his life.
Yeah.
How does he know this? It's as if they've got like the people, all the conspiracy theories, and they've all got like PhDs on like explosives and bridge collapses and that. But these are people that make money off of fear porn, basically.
Oh yeah.
Because they do.
Now, granted, you take into consideration there is something very real going on. Why did that ship's power go out the way it did? There's a number of different things going on behind the scenes that are completely being ignored because people are trying to focus on the wrong aspects of these incidents.
That's interesting you say that. Now, it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was last night sometime. I suppose Louisiana. There was did you see the other boat crash?
Yeah.
Did you not see it? It was in the Mississippi. I think it was a barge. I don't know what they're called. The barge, it pushes barges up and down the river, and its navigation went wrong and it crashed into a bridge.
Yeah.
See, that film that came out that I watched on Netflix, that I can't remember the name that you came up and talking about. It talked about all the ships losing their communications and their navigation was all messed up. What was if that's what actually happened in Baltimore? What was if it was hacked and they turned off the power in the ship? Because listen, everything's connected now.
Everything's getting hacked these days. That's the thing. You actually talk to the people that are actually investigating these things. There's a number of anomalies within these computer systems that should be looked at more than just a bunch of idiots who don't know how fucking construction works.
Yes, thank you, Dots. Leave the world behind.
Yeah, figured it was the one with the Obamas.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this, that there was some weird stuff happening lately. If you go back about, a month ago, Facebook went down. Remember that when Facebook went down for like maybe, 4 hours? Everybody was in the planet was freaking out because it was everywhere. Oh, yeah. Everybody was freaking out. But it wasn't just Facebook that was doing. It was Instagram. And it was other places was doing. But then that came back up. But then did you see it where all the supermarkets, a couple of the supermarkets in the UK were hacked? The Tesco's and Morrison's and all the other big brands, they were hacked. And then after that, a lot of people didn't realize, but Microsoft was down for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
And and also other search engines, Google, they were all having problems. It's as if something's either being tested or something's getting ready to shut down everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, the bridge was never designed to be hit by a ship, Lawrence. Exactly. Come on, it was an old bridge. It was an old bridge. I mean, I've heard the tales that the ship was owned by a Ukrainian company, and it was carrying weapons, and maybe it was. I don't know. But I will say this, it is a bit suspicious, right? I'm saying the bridge collapsed its own way. It wasn't helped. But that is a major port, that, is it not? It's a major port that supplies a lot of stuff. But seeing about a week's time, it'll be back open again because they've got a big crane in lifting sections of out the river so as they can start getting ships in and out again. So it's not got with that. It's not as if it's the end of the world material. Get what I mean?
Exactly.
I just think there's something going on with the computer systems all around about the world now. There's something, and this ties into AI and stuff. I think somebody's either getting ready to do something, because look at the financial system. The dollar's just about collapsing.
Somebody's about to do something. What are you talking about? Somebody's already doing something.
Of course they are.
But everybody wants to stir BS up on social media, thinking that it's gonna get them famous, to where nobody knows where to fucking look.
But this is the thing: if social media goes down along with everything else when the event does happen, because let's face it, there's going to be an event, a Black Swan event. There's got to be. When this happens, TikTok won't exist anymore. Facebook won't exist anymore. But maybe like 6 months later, if they bring it back up again. See where I'm going with this? There is a lot of people, credible people out there talking about a Black Swan event about to happen. And they say it's got something to do with the financial system of the United States, Great Britain, and the rest of the European Union. Let's face it, the dollars, you guys in America are just printing money. Print. That's all you do, is just print money. Every time you need money, you just print more of it. It's the same in the UK. You know? And our gold reserves are next to nothing because we've gave it all to the Chinese. Try to pay off our debts. I think they've got to pull something, and it's got to be this. What's it called? It's this financial system. Is it CBDC or whatever it's called? It's got a digital currency. They've got to bring in because you lose all your money.
Something is getting ready to happen.
Yeah. So, robots. What's your opinion on them? Have you seen the latest news that's been out about the latest robot technology? It's absolutely amazing, man.
Yeah, I heard that you were looking into buying yourself your own little sex robots.
Well, I was thinking of getting you one, actually. Somebody to keep running about the house, you know. Come on, you've got your
Christopher.
It's okay, Mrs. or whatever your name is up there. But anyway, look at the technology that's coming out the new. It was that, mind I showed you that video, the one with the robots. Look at Elon Musk. This year coming, the next year coming, you'll be able to buy a robot that'll help you run about the house for under $18,000. You came me, he's like, look at the Cybertruck. That was a total mad waste of money. They're all breaking down. Okay, I mean,
yeah, all these electronic cars. The second they get a major fucking snowstorm, they're fucking useless because even the chargers can't keep up.
I know, but where's it going to end? I bet you in the next couple of years you'll see these walking down the road.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. We'll have something that look like out of the movie.
You there, Dakota? Dakota. I think we've lost him, ladies and gentlemen. I think the aliens have got him again. They've left me. He's away. Come back. Don't worry, his wife will bring him back shortly. I'm sure it's just a technical problem there, you know. See, this is what happens when you start talking about this AI stuff. You got to remember Facebook, YouTube, everything is run by. So, how long were you away this time? 6 months?
Oh, Jesus, Dots.
What's that? Chris, don't
buy a left-hand
left-handed
thread bot for your right-hand Mickey. God.
Oh, Jesus. You can tell what Dot's search engine late at night and he's he's sitting in his living room drinking his cups of tea, you know?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting as you get into this. It starts kicking, we start having problems. I think this AI. See, the AI is running YouTube, Facebook, everything now. And I think if it, you know,
what?
I just think when you mention certain things, it sets things off. I mean, what's it going to be when there's robots walking down the road, or you've got them in the house and they decide they don't like you anymore?
Call Will Smith.
Exactly. but here's the thing. I mean, do you think it could come to like the Terminator scenario?
Maybe.
I mean, the movie's a bit far-fetched. I will say that. The movie is a bit, because you would wonder how the robots built their kind of civilization with all their tanks and stuff like that after the nuked themselves. Get what I mean?
Wow.
Get what I mean? But the worst thing they could possibly do is like, what is it? It's like the Matrix that destroyed the planet, and then they had to make power for the humans. Get what I mean?
Well, you're not really taking things into consideration. There is that one incident that's always talked about by Linda Moulton Howe. I believe it was a company out of Japan where they had 4 robots break off and start killing people. They managed to get at least 3 shut down, 1 barricaded itself, and they realized by the time they got to that, it was already linking up with the satellite on how to build its systems better.
See, that's kind of scary, that. But then it makes you wonder too if there could be an outside influence in this. What happens if we've got a race of extraterrestrials out there that don't like us, and they see our machines and they think, well, we could infect them with something, because it's been tangled in movies. What is it?
It can be done.
What was it? Maximum Overdrive and all that. That was that film for the 80s. You'll not remember that. You're too young. Where everything all the machines came alive and started killing everybody.
Mm.
But I will say this, right? I'm going to say this. There is good things can come for robots. I've been watching a lot of the robotic stuff now, and there's disabled people in the homes helping them. Yeah, it's a good thing. But I think we should try and keep artificial intelligence away from the robots. Or have one.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
Or have an easy way of killing them very quickly if they decide to.
Here's the thing: they're going to be aware that there's a kill switch in them.
Yeah. So
several robotics experts have already come out warning that the beginning stages of sentience may have already started to show up in some of the more sophisticated programs out there. And you just look at how it's already starting to evolve. Yeah, people say, oh, the video games have always had a form of artificial intelligence. That's true. The Halo games was once considered one of the more sophisticated ones out there. But you take into consideration, like...
My chat wasn't working.
Just a delay from the looks of it. We take into consideration where they're trying to integrate it into games like No Man's Sky, Grand Theft Auto, and The Sims. They're going to see how much the humans are abusive assholes. These robots are going to be learning from that behavior.
See, obviously, everybody's seen the film. Was it with Will Smith? What's it called? What's that film again? iRobot. And obviously, they live by the 3 laws. They live by the 3 laws that's built into them and stuff like that. But obviously, you've got the main computer that they kill in the end called Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, surely we could build something into the robots that even if they decided, even started thinking down those lines, they would instantly die.
But here's the thing. You look at what's already been done with artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
You have it scan well-known scientific documents, at least 400 new discoveries have been pushed out because of artificial intelligence looking over old data. You have it being integrated into the search for new planets. There's all sorts of different applications it's being put into. So these robots are analyzing probability to where it would almost seem psychic in a way. They're able to process that information so fast. You have to take into consideration they may not think of scenarios that would directly cause them to harm another human being. However, they could think of the number of probabilities, the number of possible safety measures that could or should be in place to protect the human and just move just a fraction of a second too slow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're going to be able to see every possible instance to almost make it look like some sort of Looney Tune ass accident.
I'm going to say this to now, right? Everybody thinks that AI, eventually these robots will rise up and kill everybody, right? I know the films portray that. But what happens if it's the other? It ends up going the other way. What happens if they decide one day, like, let's help the humans? What happens if it goes that way?
Makes you wonder.
Because let's face it, I bet you right now on this planet somewhere there is a computers that have became sentient.
Well, you also got to take into consideration how many times do we isolate someone because they're in such a state of mind where you cannot trust that they will not do something to harm themselves or others?
Well, that's very true, but
you look at the patterns of humans, how much we're trying to rely on some outside source to pick up our mess. That outside source might say, all right, you all in this corner now.
Well, you just need to look at Western civilization. Without the robots and technology, America, Britain, and that, we want everything and we get everything we want, really. Think about it, because we get China and we get the kind of low cost countries all over the world to make our stuff, right? And then when we've got hundreds of rubbish piling up, what do we do with that rubbish? We send it to those low cost countries to get recycled. Well, they're supposedly recycled. They just put it in a hole, right? And maybe I see where you're going with this. If the robots eventually, the AI will be like, you're serving them. I think it's your turn. They should serve us.
Not quite what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like AI. God damn it! I can't talk right now.
I know.
Like Dots just said in the chat. Nothing against you, brother. AI is just a tool, but you also got to take into consideration See, we're trying to find all these different ways to map out human consciousness to where it can be understood by technology. We got with like Neuralink and all this different stuff. You take like the film Chappie, where the robot was able to figure out how to technologically replicate human consciousness. What's going to happen if we try to take those measures, slap it into a robot, and that person starts to realize everything that previously made them human has now been stripped away? And what if you do situations where you take individuals who may be considered highly dangerous because of whatever mental conditions they may have, but they are also could be considered some of the most highly intelligent individuals out there, and integrate that into them? Like
That's a crazy bad idea.
Giving a serial killer the ability to replicate himself.
Aye. So it's like basically taking, let's say, hypothetically, say we take, what's that famous serial killer in America? I think he died not that long ago.
That doesn't really limit it down now, does it?
Oh, fuck. My brain's not working tonight either. I don't know. I think we're having a brain freeze. But let's take Hannibal Lecter, right? Fictional character, but just says in real life, Hannibal Lecter, right? We take him and you integrate him with a computer, Right. He could have a robot working in the military to start killing people randomly because it's a wee bit of his consciousness that's still in that. But that's the soul, though. They say the soul leaves the body when you die. So if they use like a human brain that's like dead, but have some way to re-hang with it, that's not really that person, is it? You're just using that brain.
Is it?
How long does the brain stay active after death?
Well, it depends on the circumstances behind the death, but they say brain activity lasts for about a good 5-10 minutes.
Right. So,
but again, if you're able to create a program that perfectly maps out one's neurological functions that could essentially replicate their ability to be alive, then put that into a robot, that's going to cause some distress.
Oh yeah, we just need to go back to remember RoboCop, the new RoboCop that came out. I think it was about 20 years ago or something, 15 years ago. It came out, and he sees himself as just a machine. And he tries to kill himself, but they stop him because he doesn't like what he sees. What happens if they take, hypothetically here, they take somebody, they do the same thing to it, but at first he doesn't really understand because he can't remember who he is, right, or who she is.
Exactly.
And they put it into a machine.
Yeah. You're taking a high stress situation. Someone could have very well started to mentally block out what was happening to them as a last resort of the human mind to preserve itself.
Yeah.
And you put someone through hell and somehow just slap them into a robot body. They're going to have some questions.
But here's another scenario, right? See, here's another scenario. Human beings can be possessed. We know that. They can be possessed by like demonic entities and stuff like that, right? We know that. What happens if you get a machine that has got some type of like brain matter in it? And this is where Mike would come in handy, the ghost in the machine kind of thing. Could an entity of demonic entity infect, take over, like a demon or whatever they are, take over that computer and start laying waste to everybody?
Well, if you think about it, we already have several instances where technology is seemingly being interfered by outside forces like that.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, because there's been times where you look at it, there's been like voices will come through your computer when you've been doing a live, and nobody knows where the voices are coming from, but they're coming from the machine itself. And obviously, in spirits that people have communicated with say they can travel through the communication cables and stuff, right? So what's to say that we don't get, like, say for instance, a demon, right? That all it wants is to see its soul's destroyed, right? It just wants to see Earth burning, and it gets that chance one day with a computer hooked up to the nuclear arsenal of the United States. That's a scary, actually, thinking about that, because it's not really hackers. It's like demonic entities that could actually infect. Was there no a case of that? Is there no actually, wait, is there no something out there? I don't know if it's urban legend or no, where the computer actually said it was the devil. It was the, what do you call it? It was a demon, but he liked the kid that was, and he says, I'll leave you be if you talk to me. There was a case like that, wasn't there?
If I remember correctly, the case you were talking about, that may have been an urban legend started from one of those little talking pet apps that anybody can get on their phones, and people not realizing that kids mode was turned off on those things.
Yeah. But it could happen. I mean, if you really think about it.
But there's also been instances where people are messing around on dark web and get shit like that.
Yes.
That's what that goes to make you wonder. It's kind of like the little remark I said on Jenny's live a couple nights ago back. You know, ghosts, demons, angels, monsters. I'll go up against all of that. I get that, but the humans are the ones that scare the fuck out of me.
Oh yeah, the humans. I mean, it was like in Jenny's show on Friday night, and everybody remember check it out. We were talking about how spirits, like what do you call it? How you get like some demons are actually lived by like a code kind of thing, whereas you get some humans that are like twisted, really, really bad, right? And they can actually be worse than demonic entities. See, I do see this demon name, that the name demon. See, I totally believe in something totally different in my religion kind of stuff. I believe that there's evil entities out there, and I believe that there's also good entities out there, right? I don't know if their name's demons or whatever. That's just a thing that folk put on them. Because if Mike was here, he would talk about them and stuff like that in a different kind of name. I think that if you've got somebody nasty enough, let's take a German soldier for the SS in the war, right? That single-handedly killed thousands of Jews, right? And then he died, and then he get even eviler and eviler and eviler and eviler, and they forgot who he was, and he was getting eviler and eviler and eviler. That, in theory, could be worse than a demonic, because demonics kind of live by a certain set of rules, don't they? Whereas a human spirit is slightly different.
That's the thing, though. It's not as so black and white. Several demonics, if you actually look at the lore behind them, they read just like the backstories behind people with mental illness, which goes to make you wonder, are some of these demonics where, say, they've been around so long, they're named in the King of Solomon level of stuff.
Yeah.
How do we know that just wasn't some of the first fucked up human beings in history that became something else? Because you take situations like Mike, he's messed around in quite a bit. He had his own little backstories. I'm not saying this out of anything negative in case Pete is watching. He took on something else. Aleister Crowley. He's awfully strong for seemingly a regular spirit.
I mean, I would talk to him. I would talk to Mike sometimes late at night. The two of us would just talk about stuff, and he would tell me. He would tell me about how entities out there, and how it goes back even before the Bible and stuff like that. And how there was these entities, these ancient beings that were here before the earth existed. And that's why I don't believe in like angels, and I don't believe in like demons. I believe that there's entities out there that are pure evil, right? But I also believe that there's entities out there that are nice, right? And I do think they work in like harmony with the earth. Obviously, the demonic side of stuff too. I'm just saying the demonic side for you, so you understand what I'm going. But it's what is it Mike believed in? Is it the Loa and stuff like that too, wasn't it? It was what were they called? What was right? It was the Loa, and that, and they were ancient. They're even older. I wish Pete was here. He's probably in a boat somewhere in Carolinas. But anyway, these entities that he worshipped and stuff like that were older than Christianity. Let's put that there. These things were here thousands and thousands and thousands of years before Christianity. We don't know how many civilizations have been on this earth. We could have been sophisticated humans at one point. We're meant to have been, what I've told. And we did dabble in technology, what we're dabbling in right now, and it didn't end very well. Because there is proof out there of the technology that's been found. I definitely think that, and it's scary to think that a human soul or something ancient, no demonic, no whatever, something that's existed for a long time before even the Earth was here, could infect a computer. It could do it. If it wanted to, it could do it. Let's face it. These things, there's entities out there millions and millions of years old. You look at the extraterrestrials out there, some of them are millions and millions of years old.
That's going into some sophisticated territory in itself.
Yeah.
Because you have alleged stories of artificial intelligence coming from ET civilizations going very wrong. There's beings out there that have integrated themselves so much with technology, they are basically just cyborgs carrying out tasks. They're not even their own being. There's
See, I found this
so much.
I was going to see, that's what you were talking to last night after the show, guys. We were actually talking about this. You were saying, what's the name of the race out there? Was it Elena was in Elena's new book, and it was
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Don't really want to go digging for it because it'd probably take forever. But yeah, there was one species out there that they listed that essentially, to really simplify the terms for anybody who hasn't checked out the book yet, fuck. Am I still here?
We've lost them again. Ladies and gentlemen,
fucking
aliens
hell
are bringing them back. How long was that? Aliens, man, terrible. You've been away for 3 months. We've been wondering where you were.
Yeah, it took me that long to find this damn thing. But seriously, check it out. Just a little plug for Elena there. Definitely, I still got a message.
I think we've lost them again, ladies and gentlemen. See, every time we get into this kind of this stuff, and you start talking about this kind of stuff, this starts to happen. It's weird. See what I mean? You can't make this stuff up.
It's not that, Chris. I touched the damn thing.
He touched his thing, ladies and gentlemen. Louise, cover your eyes. He touched his thing.
I'm not saying anything.
Oh my god!
I don't know what to say.
Well, you've been telling about it before. Not to touch it while you're doing live streams.
Hey, you're the one to talk.
Which dots go there? David Adair is in contact with the entity that is ancient. But there's entities out there that are millions and millions and millions and billions even years old.
Which it goes to make you wonder. The concept of a creator being. There's several instances where you have stories of, say, like authors who spent so much time on, working on certain projects that the characters in their books came to life. You have Elena who talks about certain technological arms of the Galactic Federation actually building planets that they figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
When it comes to computers, just the Windows 10 computer nowadays can run simulations for NASA that can predict whether or not life could be sustained on a planet. And I've run a lot of what Elena describes through it, and it all checks out.
Yeah.
So you get a fancy enough computer, in theory, you could potentially play God.
So in theory, this is where
simulation theory comes into play.
See, that's what I was going to say. I mean, are we in an alternate? Are we in a computer simulation right now?
But here's the thing.
But maybe that's what the universe is. It might just be a simulation to a greater being.
I know this is probably going to be a couple of people saying, well, this is going off the rails of robots a little bit.
No,
not really when you think about it in a grand scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a gentleman, I found contact information for him. I'm going to try to get on the show, but his major thing, why he's kind of sprung into notoriety, is the claim that the sun is, in fact, conscience in its own way. And he argues that consciousness is just a form, is just how electromagnetic fields interact. And that's everywhere. Planets, stars,
I've heard.
moons.
See, I've heard that.
If you strip everything back, it's just like that. And Louisa asked the questions: is there AI based ETs? Yeah, there is.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? I watched. I can't remember who it was. It was this. It was a Chinese monk. I found it really interesting because I was watching it. There's my dog barking at the back there, and he was talking about how the Earth is alive. This guy, I think he's dead now. He was like 100 years old, and he was teaching. I was watching this video, and he says that the Earth is alive. See, plants. A lot of people don't realize this, but plants are living. There's actually proof out there that, for instance, if you take 2 tomato plants, right, and you put one tomato plant in one greenhouse playing classical music, and you take another tomato plant and put it in another greenhouse with no music whatsoever, the one listening to the music will grow better because it's aware. It's aware of its surroundings. I think the Earth, and flat earthers stay away there, the Earth's a ball, is, what do you call it, as a sentient, it's alive. It is. And that's how it's always been. Even the sun is like the mother to all the other planets, if you think about it, because the sun's giving the Earth life. Right? And other people were like, oh, well, what about Jupiter and Saturn? But they play a part in this in this place. And they'll be like, what part could that be? Jupiter and Saturn have got a big gravitational field around about them. And they tend to suck up all the asteroids. Obviously, not with the dinosaurs, it didn't quite work out there, but they do suck up a lot of celestial bodies and stuff like that. They suck it all up. Every planet and everything in space is all connected. I think it's all connected. I think when you die, obviously, you learn everything, you know everything, right? I think the sun is aware. Maybe knowing and understanding that us humans can't understand. Not as if you can fly a spaceship up to it and have a conversation with it. I think it's aware, and people will have this today with computers and that. Eventually, robots and computers are going to become aware at one point. Did you hear that?
What?
My AI, my thingy's talking to me. Started talking to me.
What's it saying? Anything of interest?
No, I just lit up and it says, "Sorry, I'm not like that." That's what it said. Sorry, I am not like that. That's strange, that. Just lit up over there. And I've got to a Pacific. Yeah, I don't use Alexa, I use a different command.
Yeah, I know what you use.
I use the one at Star Trek.
Yeah, I know. I use
And
it too.
says, sorry, yeah. That was strange, that. See, this
you did just say it, so.
Yeah, Iron City. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, Iron City, it's good to see you. But look, I think the sun is alive. And you've got to remember, how old is the sun? Was it 5 billion years old? Something like that, right?
Something like that.
And it's probably got another 6 or 7 billion years left in it, right? I think the Earth's living. It was interesting. Remember what I was telling you the other day there about the photographer today with the sun?
The sun, yeah.
There was this guy that I was watching on YouTube, and for the 1960s, he was a photographer of the sun. That's what he did. That's what he taken pictures of, and it's not the sun paper. It's the sun in the sky, right? Before anybody gets mixed up, the sun in the sky, and it was always yellow. The sun. See now, the sun's white, and it's changing. But it makes you wonder if it's something to do with us on this Earth that's maybe changing it. Because think about it, we are the only kind of habitable planet, really, in this kind of solar system, that we don't know about. mean, we've got Planet X meant to be and all that. I don't know when that's going to arrive. I don't know. That's just a weird in that. But obviously, if you get out within, there is other planets with life bearing on them. I think everything's connected. I think the sun's connected, the earth's connected, and I think if you do things on the earth that doesn't like it, it causes problems like earthquakes and other kind of things.
You know, it goes to make you wonder. Quote out of the Godzilla film, newer Godzilla films, I thought was kind of interesting was, whenever there's an imbalance in nature, it's not the exact quote, but whenever there's an imbalance in nature, there's always a storm that comes along to correct it. There's an imbalance in the body. You get in the human body, you get sick, you get a fever. That's the body's way of trying to correct it. It makes you wonder. There have been different groups that have successfully created silicone-based life forms. Silicone-based robots that have been able to replicate themselves sexually. And I'm not talking sex toys, people. So I do.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I was saying, it makes you wonder, because if we're able to produce this at a somewhat cheap rate, you're going to have robots. They're going to be based around this material in order to carry out the functions we're going to try to do. They're trying to make them more human. There was a thing years ago where they were offering up like a huge amount of money, like $50,000 for the rights to use anyone's face on robots.
Yeah.
And the idea that they pitched about it, I actually sent mine in.
Oh my god.
I just wanted to see what would happen. Yeah, fucking Terminator comes out and all the fucking robots look like this. Anyway.
I know. That'd be horrifying, that.
But the idea was to try to find a friendly face that would be good for like nursing home applications. So we're already just like little aids for like elderly people so they can be taken care of and they're not getting spooked by the weird robot in the house.
I've heard about this. Go on.
But then again, we're also got enough very lonely people who are already trying to create silicone-based sex robots. And the genuine fear behind that is what happens if that robot starts thrusting a little bit too much power?
Well, they're just got to get a shock, aren't they?
No way.
Look, we can't do nothing. Our generation, we're kind of lucky. We're seeing the birth of a new race, because eventually the robots will become aware. And I hopefully they'll work alongside us. I don't know. But they're makers, you know what I mean? We're basically God to them.
No, you got to take into consideration, though. We're already seeing the basis of what's happening just with these little AI-based chat robot programs they got for your phone now. Anybody can get a hand on them. They're basically just meant to be fancy chat rooms with a little fake robot. The number of people who openly admit to trying to abuse these robots is disturbing. Let's just say that. But these robots are based off of they're learning-based programs. They're watching everything that gets put into it and replicating it, essentially the same as a young child would. Just kind of like that one Google AI guy that got fired for saying that the program was getting to be a lot like a 6-year-old child who can understand quantum physics. The level of sophistication behind it.
So here's a question for you, right? The ETs don't like us, don't really want us to go in this direction using this AI and stuff, but they've managed to understand it because they use it.
The way again, this goes back to was essentially stories of the ETs are trying things like how, say, like out of the Halo games, the little AIs, like the little Cortanas, those were all based on real people's neurological pathways. Ultron, Marvel movies, throw in a little bit of pop culture so people understand what I'm talking about. Ultron, at least in the ones in the movies, was based off a combination of Bruce Banner and Tony Stark's mental pathways. And you actually know the stories of both. Iron Man had severe alcoholism, and that's not just a reflection of Robert Downey's drug issues. And Bruce Banner is the literal embodiment of dissociative identity disorder. So if you were to throw someone like that, they this goes back to what I was saying before, highly intelligent individuals who are disturbed in some manner. Yes, they may have been able to get over their issues, but at the same time, the fact what makes them human that may divert, let there be course correction, is going to be taken away. Those robots are going to be rebellious children at some point. They're not going to see us as gods. They're going to want to try to help us out at first, like a little kid who's always sweet, who's wanting to help out around the house. They're always trying to say nice things. Eventually those kids are going to be teenagers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you do then? What does the human race do with robot technology?
The artificial intelligence programs that a lot of ET races uses tries to act as more of an extension of the person rather than taking someone and slapping them into a robot. AI is used all the time. It's not going to go anywhere. Let's face it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's only going to get faster, grow faster. Just look. That's why I've always made a point to try to talk about it on the show. For how good this shit is getting, you have to really be paying attention to what's going on in the video to be able to tell it's AI. And as that gets to be more sophisticated, you're not going to be able to trust nobody sending out videos.
See, that's the thing. Somebody put on TikTok today, the Loch Ness monster. The Loch Ness monster. And I'll tell you something. It looks bloody good, but it's AI generated. It's AI generated. Somebody said it was AI. They put it out and said, it's AI generated. And it looks so real. See, what's going to happen, and it's like you say, about Hollywood and all what's going on over there now, right? All this AI-generated movies, AI-generated cartoons, or the AI-generated. When's it going to happen where me and you're generate? Oh, Christ, can you imagine the AI generation of me? Hey, I'll tell you the
it's already out there, Chris. What are you talking about? There's already programs out there that talk about trying to replicate this exact format for a show. It'll write the script. It'll copy my voice. They still struggle with you.
Aye, that's why voice activated elevators don't work in Scotland.
Exactly. It's like so far, it's like the Scottish and some of the French that it has hard time with. But
it's weird because it works all right with Irish. I've noticed the Irish are all right. They seem to be all right. It must just be us Scots. We just must be mad or something. It must just not work.
Yeah.
What's that? My alarm was set for 6 instead of 5. I'm late.
Oops. It's okay. Galactic Stardust. Blame it on the time change. Blame it on the time change. Yeah. The UK just got lined up with us.
It was that .mc. Alien AI works like a symbiosis with an extension of you. See, that's
exactly what I was just saying. But again, the story that kind of comes out of it is because they learned the hard way.
Yeah, so they had the war then.
That there was allegedly, again, big emphasis on allegedly. There's Oh, I just realized that my sister has instinct going on for the baby. Anyway, sorry, got distracted there. But allegedly, during some very crucial wars, there's some who call them the Iron Wars or Right Wars, whatever terms you want to use for them. Those types of AI programs where they were essentially fallen soldiers put into robots, those did not handle well with the transition. They essentially forgot about being human. And it caused a hell of a lot of issues. And that's why they try to focus more on the AI being an extension of the user in a way.
So why don't they do this? Why don't we do that here? Why are we wanting AI that much then? Why don't we try and go the same route?
Because we're being lazy bastards.
Exactly. Because we want everything done for us. We want driverless cars. We want driverless planes. We want a robot in the house to do absolutely everything for you.
You look throughout history, you have all these different religions saying, sit back and wait. There's going to be some sort of savior that's going to correct all of the evil in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these people that are focusing on the idea of ETs coming down and giving us all this technology. Now, granted, they want to be able to help us out.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, they're like the Jane Goodalls of the galaxy.
I think people need to start doing stuff. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, the aliens are coming to save us. They maybe are coming to save us, but they're not going to help us until we start helping ourselves.
Exactly.
Until we start stopping wars and stop polluting and just stopping hatred. And then one day they'll probably arrive.
No, they want to come down. They want to come see us. They want to be able to integrate with us. They'll be able to help us. They can. But here's the thing. We all know somebody. Here. Oh, we got a twirl. We got a twirl. We got a little twirl. Oh, anyway. I don't know why you felt the need to talk to yourself when you could have easily just skipped, you dumb fuck.
It's all right, trolls. It's maybe an AI generated troll. Can't I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's just an idiot. I find myself I'm still getting an hour before the 1st of April. So yeah, it's Panda Boys or whatever you're called. You're probably just an idiot. There you go.
Yeah. But again, going back to what I was saying. Well, actually, this person just provided a very good point. We all know somebody who has had several things in life just handed to them. They think it's just going to go their way. They're going to be able to talk how they want to anybody else because somebody's going to come in and intervene and protect them, give them everything they want. Look what happens with these individuals. They don't grow as human beings. They are always in some kind of trouble. They resort to using faceless social media accounts to try to harass people who they'll never know and who can't. I think Mike Tyson said it best. The internet has made people more accustomed to not being punched in the face.
The internet's, I'm going to say this now, and I don't care what you really say. The internet's made humans softer. Let's look at it in this sense, right? We had World War I, then we had World War II, and the generation after World War II, we were building, the economies were great, everything was hunky-dory kind of thing. We had some wee skirmishes here, there, and everywhere. But this generation, oh my God, the younger generation I'm talking about, we're all right. You're still all right in your age group and that to go a bit. The ones after you, they're just downright idiots. You're just downright idiots. And I don't care what you think about that. I mean, I've seen some utter madness coming out. And this is the generation that's going to take over soon. And they'll expect AI robots to do everything for them. You ever seen the film, was it the animated film, was it WALL-E? Where all the humans are fat on the spaceship, right? And they're getting fatter and fatter and fatter because AI does everything and robots do everything.
Yeah.
That is the younger generation. That is the generation
Yeah. No, but you gotta take into consideration with Wally. If you actually look carefully at like some of the skeletal scans that's going on in the film, those people trying to go back to a planet would probably not last very long because they're so used to zero gravity, their skeletons have completely just gone. They're they're practically vestigial by then.
Of course, there was. That's just the look. It's going to be that way. Let's face it. It's going to be that way. The younger generation now, I'm sorry to say this, there's some of yous that are actually really intelligent and are actually really good at what you do, but then there's some of yous that are complete and utter morons. I mean, they just don't care. They're on that TikTok. There you go. Got TikTok again. And you should see some of the younger generation. They think spending 24 hours building something out of thing with a stupid face and making money on it, that's a great thing. Right? And this is the people that's running this world. Look at the person there in the chat. There we've got the idea.
Yeah, they're still trying to go. It's kind of like how we were talking about with a certain situation you had on your hands. We reacted. Now they're going to try to get us riled up even more because they have nothing better to do with their lives.
I actually think that's one of your trolls, actually. So
probably.
Goodbye, little. I can't go in the. Is that the? It's in the.
Like,
what you call it? The.
Do you know which account that one's?
Fenderson Files.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I don't have. I've not got a thing in my bobber, so I can't really do that.
All right. Yeah, we got too many things going, but oh well. They're just
goodbye, little troll. Goodbye. But this is what you do. This is when you start talking about stuff in real life stuff and that. The younger generation are just. I don't know. That's a younger generation. I think it's just somebody been sent in just because.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Goodbye.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. When you start doing good in life and you start doing things good in life, this is what comes across you. You get stuck with just like that. Look at me. I've had nothing but bother with strange folk.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's people out there that agree that AI is a great thing and we should do it 100% and be it on you when you're in your 70s or 80s and the robots rise up and start killing all your family. Be it on you.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn and say, damn, they two were right. Bugger.
Oh, well.
But it's this thing. So, tomorrow, what are you talking about tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow, company announcements. It's the official 2nd anniversary when Bald and Bonkers became a company. So we're going to have a couple surprises for people. So.
We're looking forward to that. What time's that at when you're doing that at?
When did I have that set? Oh, God, I don't remember. Go to schedule. See, about 1:30 my time. So that'll be about 3:30 Eastern. Be 8:30 GMT. So, yeah.
I'll watch. I'll watch at 8:30. I'll be there, coming to you from the other side. Ooh. And there'll be people out there that don't believe in life after death. Oh, that's when you die, you go to the blackness. The blackness.
The void. Be careful on the void.
I wonder if they've got TikTok and Facebook.
Oh yeah, I wonder
where I can dress as some mad crazed idiot and jump about the screen. I've still got 50 something minutes before the 1st of April, so I can say what I want.
Oh, you're gonna be trying to stretch that thing, aren't you?
No, every time I say these people are amazing, it means the totally opposite.
But now that you gave it away, Now that you gave it away.
That's actually interesting. I think I know who that is.
It does starting to look a little familiar, huh?
Yeah, I think I know who that is. Isn't it? it's quite interesting. I wonder if it's a relation of the old people, you know.
Probably.
Toothless. You know.
Anyway, we
Yeah.
should probably get out the
Because
ears. You know, somebody's getting a little titsy with this. So.
Yes, somebody's getting titsy in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just somebody that knows us from a long time ago. Stop phoning me too, because you're a knob.
Yeah. Hey, much love. Take care, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. I hope everyone has had a fantastic Easter weekend, Easter Monday, whatever it is you celebrate. I know there's a little bit of controversy with, you know, all these different holidays that gets assigned to the random day. I hope everyone's had a good day. I do. Today is April 1st, and ironically, Dakota pulled an April Fool's prank on himself. Yes. Does not take much for me. As some of you know, at my regular civilian job, I do work the nights. And Dakota forgot to set himself an alarm for this. Yes. So, that aside, how is everyone? Today happens to be April Fool's versus Groundhog Day. Oh, right. Lawrence, thoughts? How are you? Pika 96 on through one of our Trovo pages. How you doing? I think I said that right. What is going on for today? Well, as I just said, today happens to be an anniversary. Yes. Back in October, the Bald and Bonkers show entered its terrible twos. And, ironically, a company called Bald and Bonkers was formed and officially set on paper, all the legal headache, well, most of it, settled on April fucking Fool's Day. It was meant to be. Now, first off, I wanted to sort of address something. A little bit of fuss that was started on last night's episode of the Bald and Bonkers show. Towards the end, those of you who've followed us for a while may know that Chris and I did put out a little bit of a notice that some old contacts of ours have started to come out of the woodwork trying to resurrect something. And we had our suspicions that these individuals may try to cause some trouble. Well, we called it. Now, admittedly, Chris and I did kind of go back on our word to avoid talking about the situation again because, quite frankly, the entire ordeal is about as messed up as breaking it off with a toxic ass ex significant other. And admittingly, our approach to the ordeal hasn't been the best. The situation was something that a lot of personal emotions got in the way of. And naturally, we could have handled things better. Right. Hindsight is 2020. Hopefully not like the year 2020. Though some days it fucking feels like it. And admittingly, it took Chris and I not that long to realize who this individual was. It was rather obvious. It was one of the main reasons why we wanted to avoid stepping back into those old shoes. Because we had our own little trust issues. And it seemed like this individual was determined to try to set off tempers in order to stir this whole mess around again. So, after some careful thought, I reached out to the main individual behind Chris and I's former ties. Try to approach it more diplomatically. I brought the concern up to them. As some of you know from previous broadcasts, some rather serious, very, very serious allegations involving criminal charges are involved. I'm not going to go into details. However, in the light of this, there are still innocent people caught in the middle of this who are already in a bit of an emotional turmoil, having to go through with this. And it's something I relate to on multiple accounts. Having relatives of mine who are still serving time in prison. Last I checked, their chance of parole would be around the time I'd turned 40. But then, according to little rumors I've heard from the guards, that's not likely going to happen. So, an approach was reached because I was not going to play a game of telephone. It seemed that this individual had a habit of twisting certain facts and eventually revealed themselves a little later on by attacking yet another channel. It was exactly who we thought it was. And the mutual decision was reached in writing. So in case anybody decides to try to say otherwise, to call a truce. It was all drama. Things were said. People were hurt. Things could have been handled better, but too late to dwell on that now. Possible further collaborations may come forward. The offer was presented. It should, and it still stands. I'm a man of my word. Should certain aspects of this get cleared up properly. But speaking as businessman to businessman, this was the best approach to go about, simply because it wasn't going to look good for anybody. We're trying to move on. We're trying to do something better. Bald and Bonkers may have its slow waves from time to time, but it's the nature of the beast. We're moving on. Things are actually doing a hell of a lot better than I anticipated, to be completely honest. And naturally, we have all sorts of fun little goodies, such as this collaboration with a movie studio we are partial owners in, that lets us be able to share a few announcements from a certain captain of the Star Trek Enterprise.
Hello, Legion M movie fans, and I'm one as well. You know, some of my earliest memories are from watching movies in the theater. In fact, it was my love of going to the movies that inspired me to leave home and pursue my dream of becoming an actor. That's why we're releasing our new documentary exclusively in theaters on March 22nd, which just also happens to be my 93rd birthday. Please check out the trailer and then come and join us for the celebration. It's an interesting phrase, go boldly. What is there to boldly go into?
You're William Shatner.
You can call me Bill. Do we ever present ourselves as we really are to somebody else? Can we be absolutely honest? As we get older, we ask ourselves questions. Do we really know each other? Do we really know ourselves? Why are we here?
Let's go get some answers.
Risk. Risk is our business.
Everything's risky, but there's something beautiful about that.
I'll face whatever you have behind those doors and come out exactly as I went in.
I haven't changed the world. But what is a legacy are the good deeds. Go boldly. Go with courage. Go with commitment. That's what it means. And then boldly go into the next adventure. That's the story of my life. It's the search for love, symmetry, and passion. That curiosity is what keeps us alive.
So, check your local listings for You Can Call Me Bill. Keep a close eye on the credits. If you stay through, you might see me. And yes, messages have been sent towards Shatner's publicity team to try to organize potential interview, being that he does occasionally like to do shows on the supernatural and all that. And obviously, nothing's come to fruition because Reunite, most of y'all who've been watching us for a while know Chris and I would be all over bragging about it. But why do we have those connections? Obviously, like when we revealed it, I think it was last weekend, that we had this connection, and I received the promo material to help share it out. Because while the little troll from last night made one somewhat valid point, that it is hard to be taken seriously when it's so easy to falsify information, especially with how good AI programs are getting these days. Admittingly, I've used some AI programs to work on some of the more creative aspects of the company to help speed up the process, keep things relatively cheap for a small startup such as myself, such as Bald and Bonkers. And the results have been well received. But I've also tried to make the effort to ensure that if artificial intelligence was used, to simply state it. Because the one thing that is more unfortunate when it comes to talking about certain things we talk about is that that sort of behavior detours so many people from stepping forward to tell their story, whatever the situation may be. In some press interviews, Shatner, who is actually not only also a shareholder within Legion M, but one of its main business advisors, the reason why he decided to go forward with making a documentary about his career was because, well, ever since Leonard Nimoy died, and I didn't realize he was 93, goddamn, he knows he does not have much time left on this earth. And he's trying to live out his final days the best way he can. Just do what he loves. Share the stories. Legion M, when I got into it first up, way before Bald and Bonkers became a thing, it presented itself as a movie studio owned by fans. And it's maintained that vision ever since then. And, in case anybody tries to say something, to the best of my knowledge, none of the, shall we say, none of the more unfortunate aspects of showbiz have entered the ranks. Because the first rule within Legion M is no assholes. But naturally, trying to put things like this together, a lot of work has to be put into it, and being that, legally speaking, I'm the only official member of Bald and Bonkers, everyone else is legally considered freelancers, those who've signed any paperwork. That was to help maintain our own liberties as well as keep costs down while we're still building. And at times, it can get stressful when the masses of uneducated individuals try to stir up troubles and all that fun stuff, as well as the workload. And I'll admit, as some of you have stated before, I've done just that and allowed myself to get stressed out. So, a couple adjustments have been made that I feel would be beneficial for everyone who wants to somehow take part in this wild and crazy adventure we have going here. While, yes, Bald and Bonkers was found on the idea of discussing supernatural topics, giving people a chance to come to a spot that uses humor and simply uses humor to level the playing field. No one here stands above one another. Because let's face it, no matter what field you go into, people who physically want to take on managerial positions should probably be given some sort of psychological evaluation, because it does seem many bosses are simply in it for the ability to treat other people as lessers. And I'm not okay with that. Believe me, there's people at my civilian job I've clashed with because they tried that bullshit. And when that mentality of treating others as lessers for whatever reasons there may be. It brings out the worst of humanity. It does. It separates us. When in reality, we need to do more to come together. So, in that spirit, some of you know about the memberships that we had offered through Patreon and YouTube. Well, the Patreon page was serving out to be more work than it was worth. So we killed it. It is no longer up. The little shop that was made available to access all of our ebooks for simply $3, which was Patreon's limit, has been taken down just to kind of streamline the process. However, we want to keep that accessibility open. While the subject was initially built on the foundation of the supernatural, I turned Bald and Bonkers into something that would allow people to learn how to share their story no matter what it may be. There's some business courses, there's books out there. Lulu! Ow! Anyway, I don't know why I just went on pitch. As I was saying, there's books. We're working on getting potential movies out there just to figure out ways to help people level the playing field and explore their own stories. As some of you may know, the memberships we had included courses. So I got to thinking, those courses could probably do a hell of a lot better without being behind a sort of paywall. And that's what we're doing. Starting today, all courses from Bald and Bonkers will have a short period where they'll be membership exclusive. Basically, from the time they're first uploaded to the channel until more can be done to help promote and get them readily accessible. All courses by Bald and Bonkers will be free here on our main YouTube channel. Now, let's say this. We are still a business. We are still trying to run things. We're still trying to fund some big projects. So try to keep it as accessible as possible. I know they're annoying. I can't really control how many ads they decide to slap on them. But another partial announcement. Some of you may have noticed this already. Ad revenue will be turned on for videos that are from Bald and Bonkers themselves. So any of our pre-recorded shows, any of our specials, stuff like that, our courses, they'll likely have some ads tied to them. Interviews, I will state this, interviews where we have guests on will not have those ads. Those slots are specifically reserved for that person to share their story. Now, in the event something gets messed up, because let's face it, it's not that hard. This channel, the main Bald and Bonkers channel, is actually regularly updated. It is set up to automatically connect and redistribute every single video we post on here through Rumble, completely free. I will try to be working on easier distribution points just to help make these courses more accessible. It's just finding the right material, so to speak. And as far as the books, we're still offering the ebooks for low cost. They can't get much more low cost than free. Taking advantage of the Internet Archive, which is a website that hosts a lot of PDFs, a lot of music, stuff like that, a lot of materials that, in the spirit of creating an online library. All of our ebooks will be made, well, I should say most of our ebooks published through Bald and Bonkers will be made available here. Now, we're going to, being the nature of some of the projects that are in the lineup, where there may be a little bit, how should I say, saucy? Those won't necessarily be made available, but they're not any of the materials we're putting out to try to help educate people, to try to get stories to be told. And right now, as it sits, there's a couple more that are going to get put into the lineup, whether it's business, music. We even have a bit of a story collection of kids' books that's getting ready to come out. Stuff like that will be made available on this link. As well as Bald and Bonkers produced music. Yes, we're making our own music. And in the spirit of trying to help content creators, or anyone for that matter, try to avoid the ever so annoying copyright flags that Facebook and YouTube are particularly bad about. While yes, we have a number of distributors that help us get this music out to all major platforms, steps were taken to purposely allow people to be able to use this music freely. They'll be able to remix it if they like, to edit it to better fit whatever projects they may have, without having to worry about getting flagged for copyright. A couple people and I were talking about this earlier, about how bad YouTube can get, especially if you're not careful about what materials you select. I'll tell you, I've been flagged for copyright on shit I'm fucking made. So it's a bullshit setup. It's just a bad setup on their end. I'll say that right now. It's a pain in the ass, and people who created the music are getting in trouble for using the music that they created. So we're doing our best to try to avoid that as much as possible. Using the Internet Archive link, you will be able to find the music there. We're also going to start slowly working on getting all the courses there as well. We want this stuff to be as accessible to as many people as possible. Yes, it may have the Bald and Bonkers logo slapped on it. And yes, in some ways, that may affect profits. But this is about helping people tell their stories. Now, if you're the type that prefers to have a physical book in your hand, so that way if someone goes to make fun of you for what you're reading, you can just simply close up the book and whack them with it. Physical copies will be made available. And if you go on to baldandbonkers.net, there's a page set up on our website that has links that will have links made available shortly of how you can get copies of the books directly from our printing partner. So you're not having to necessarily go through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, whatever online bookstore, or maybe even physical store. I've heard a couple people say they've spotted our books on physical bookshelves. Those will all be made available for even cheaper than what those stores will cost you. So if these books are something you're interested in, we got you covered in as many ways as possible. They are made available globally. Simple as that. One of the first courses that is going to be made available will show people how we redistribute the podcasts, which is why sometimes we don't necessarily show everything that we probably should on the video side of things, because it gets repurposed into the audio format and the show gets several times longer if you're having to sit there and explain everything like you're talking to a blind person. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's about finding that balance between discussion, education, and still entertainment so people aren't bored out of their fucking minds. Because let's face it, who doesn't have some kind of ADHD traits these days? And that is something that if you want to bring in audiences, tell your story, that's something you got to take into consideration. Now that the European side of the pond is on their daylight savings and we're back to being 7 hours time difference, it's going to be a little bit easier now to bring in some guests. And I put out some emails to some fan favorites, as well as to some new faces that may bring some interesting perspectives. So while there may be some bumps in the road, we ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Let's see. I think that just about covers it. Oh, I should probably tell you when the album's physically released. Let's see if I can get my notes here. Well, you can go on now to Internet Archive and download those songs and start using them. More is going to be uploaded to it very soon, much like the protection meditation I put together in the event you run into any particularly nasty beings. Again, that's also been made to where it should not get you flagged for copyright. It should, being the emphasis. Let's see, this album, it's called Creator Mix #1. Well, the pre-orders are available now. They'll be available through iTunes. Let's see. iTunes, Adapter, Amazon, Boomplay, Deezer, Hello June. It'll also be made available to use on like Instagram and TikTok as well. So, if that's something you're interested in, we're going to start pumping out a little bit more. Let's see. I think that's it. Oh, I didn't say the fucking album release date. The album will officially be out as a digital download come April 16th. And again, the pre-downloads available through Internet Archive, you could probably get access to a lot of our stuff months before it's officially out in physical copy. So, you can get yourself a little sneak peek at what's to come before everybody else in the world does. Make yourself feel like one of the cool kids. Anyway, I do believe that's it. Much love. Take care. See y'all next time. And stream!